Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from Percy'sGrowroom.com. I am Mackie from the UK, and joining us on the panel this week, we have Margaret.
Hello, everyone. This is Margaret and host of Bite Me, the show about edibles coming at you from central Canada, Ontario, to be more specific.
We also have Billy Bonds.
Hello from Airstrip 1. Reporting quite well here because I'm able to report, so that's quite good.
I suppose. Yeah, that's a bonus. Bonus nowadays.
Just being able to be here is a bonus.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
And for the special guest on the panel this week, we have the legendary Jordan River from Growcast. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, everybody. Good to be back, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming to join us in the, what was it called? The Aquadome is where you're situated now?
Yes, if you tune into
Very
Growcast
nice.
TV, you can see the Aquadome, 420 leagues beneath the surface of the ocean, actually.
Wow. It's pretty deep.
I think so. I'm not
What
sure.
was the original book? Because it wasn't 420 leagues, was it? It wasn't that many.
I don't know. I think that's too many leagues, but
Is
we
it
got one guy in an
40,000 leagues
airship,
under the sea. That's something like
one
that.
guy in an airship, and one guy under the sea. That's not too bad.
Yeah, man. Good stories from back in the day. Good stories. I've never read it, though. But anyway.
It's 20,000 leagues under the sea. is the
Okay.
story.
Yeah.
Thanks there for the fact checking. Nice. It's good to get it accurate. You know.
We don't want to be
Uh,
spreading misinformation.
Yes, 20 leagues, Pony Express said. And of course, there's a poll there in the chat, everybody, because we've got some news to be covering today, as we do every Sunday. And one of the news articles that we're covering is going to be discussing that Trump suggesting that he might support the legalization of cannabis in the USA. And we've also had Kamala say the same thing as well. So we put a poll up in the chat there. So put your votes in, everybody. We want to know what you all think. Do you think Trump will legalize? Do you think Harris will legalize? Or do you think none of them are going to legalize? Let us know. That'll be we'll cover that when we get to the news stories there. But let's have a quick look at what other news stories we have as well. We have some crazy story about a guy in Singapore who wanted to kill his wife. And I said that like Borat then, didn't I? He wants to kill his wife. Yeah, but yeah, so he wanted to kill her with cannabis, and he's like, how the fuck's he gonna do that? That's gonna be difficult. But he tried to plant it in her vehicle, so she'd get caught by the police, and you get death penalty for that shit. How fucked up is that? Yes, let's cover that story in a little bit. We're going to talk about the 2 million Brits who are allegedly self-medicating with cannabis. That's a lot of people. It's a huge percentage of the population. As we mentioned, we said we're going to talk about Donald Trump in support of recreational use of cannabis in Florida. This is going to be an interesting one. We got a statement from him and a few other side articles that come off that as well. So you'll see that in a little bit. Margaret is bringing Fountain of Youth. Can cannabis keep you young? You all should know, as cannabis users, that yes, it can. You know. And then Jordan, we're going to have a discussion about if cannabis is too strong now, which there's definitely a good discussion to have in this, because it's definitely not as mellow as it used to be. You know what I'm saying? Or is that just me getting old and being a lightweight? We'll find out during the discussion towards the end of the show there. But yes, lots of cool news to cover. Yeah, that's it. That's the intro, right? I think that's it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, everybody. We won't go on to the news just yet, because we can have a quick catch up with Jordan and smoke some delicious cannabis. What are you consuming today, Jordan? What do you have? You have something nice?
Oh, man, I'm so excited about this harvest. It's a little under dried, but it's still really good. You know, when you're pulling really good flavors off of stuff that's not even dry yet, you get really excited because, you know, by the end of cure, it's going to be really, really nice. So we have some garlic breath. We have some super snow brunch, and those are both cuts from Farmer John. Shout out to Farmer John. And then I'm waiting for some duck confit to come down. You guys have heard me talk about that one for a while, as well as some stuff from Rhizo Rich. So I've got a nice bountiful harvest, just waiting for it to fully dry. But right now I'm smoking some garlic breath, and it is out of this world. Really, really medicinal. I can taste the garlic note for sure, but it's got more than just that going on. And I look forward to running this one again and running it in a larger container. So shout out to Farmer John and all of his awesome cuts.
Nice. That sounds delicious. I do like garlic flavored stuff, man.
I think it's good. I think it's very medicinal as well. Like I've heard a lot of people say that this is one of his most medicinal cuts. And I think something about that flavor profile, something about the terpenes or the aromatics does really well for stomach stuff. For me anyways, it does really well for stomach stuff.
Nice, man. What do we have from you, Billy? What hash have you been making this week?
I've just got the commercial, but I press it, heat press it, so it changes the flavors a bit and makes it more nice, sticky hash. But I've also got some, Lime Oz from Perfect Tree, which is really nice weed, which I'm definitely going to grow again because it's fucking gorgeous. But I've also got some old school White Widow and London Pancake Cross, which is really nice also as well. So
any
I'm
lemon
quite
tea?
spoiled.
You got some lemon tea today? Are you taking a
no
break?
lemon tea. That was on Friday, so I took that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the session.
Good time. Good session we had.
Yeah, good session actually.
Yeah,
it was.
good conversations as always, and we look forward to do it again at the end of the month. Join us,
But
patrons, in the Patreon session. Sorry,
it
Billy.
is now hash o'clock. As I see Shilbert there, so
Hit
do
that
it.
shit.
Hash o'clock, man. Hit that.
We've got to see what Margaret's got as well. What are you on there, Margaret? You got something nice?
I got edibles as per usual, but I do have a little bit of Dirty Taxi in my vaporizer, ready to go, and it mixed in with some fuck my brain, Charlotte's Angel, because I like to mix in a little CBD.
Little CBD in there. Nice.
CBD is always nice to add. Actually.
Yeah,
And I've got this Stilton special from Mephisto, and it's curing off nicely now. It's been down for maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4. So it's just starting to release the flavor and the smell. Jesus, man, it's just so potent, nice. It is, smells nice, tastes nice. It's just such great weed, man. It just shows that autos can definitely compete with the quality of photos nowadays. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I 100% agree. And if you think about how many people work autos versus how many people work photos, there's still much work to be done just based on that number, right? And that shows you, as good as they are getting, especially compared to how they were, it's going to get better. And I honestly think that the autoflower trait, if you kind of sink as much time and as many years into working those strains and just try to hold on to that non-photo periodism trait, I think they're going to be indistinguishable, and I think they're going to be B, a huge part of commercial cultivation. If they, especially if they allow outdoor growing, because the real key to like production for cannabis, and I don't know if it's ever going to go this way or not, is to grow it like anything else, to grow it outside in ground, in the sun. And in that case, a really stable and fire autoflower variety would be the way to go. Feminized autoflowers would be the way to go. I don't know if we're there yet as far as relying on it at scale.
No, the what they call the phenotypic plasticity, is that what it's called, where each seed is a little bit different? I think it's just a little bit too varied in autos still.
Absolutely. I think it's varied in most, non-inbred lines. But if you could guarantee that it's going to be A, good quality, B, stable, and C, feminized, and you could grow it outside, that's how you grow cannabis at scale and how you drive prices way down for the patients.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I'm glad you're growing some autos, man. I was just thinking about popping some. It's been like a year or two since I've grown autoflowers.
It's the opposite way for me. It's been like a year or two since I've grown photo periods. I'm just
if you pop
autos,
a photo,
man.
I'll pop an auto. If you make a deal right here, right now. If you
okay, when we doing it? Because I've been thinking about popping a photo to grow out, take some cuts off, so I can do a scrog of Nakatomi Plaza. That's my plan.
Perfect. Tell me when you pop that. Make a post and tag me, or just remind me, and I'll throw in an auto run, a bumper crop in the Aquadome.
Do it. I'll send you a picture like it's on you now, bro.
That sounds great. All right, I'll make that deal if you make that deal.
And anybody join us? That'd be cool. Any of the listeners, if you all wanted to, if you haven't tried an auto yet and you want to give it a shot, then when we pop, do it, man. I'll do the photo period, and vice versa as well. Give it a shot.
We almost did try a different style challenge in Discord membership, which was in Growcast membership, which was like kind of what you're describing. Like if you're a photo grower, try an auto. If you're an organic grower, try hydro. We never like went through with it. We thought it was like, but that would be awesome, man. I totally encourage people, because you learn so much, right, Mackie? You learn whatever you're doing, especially when it comes to autos versus photos. If you just switch one thing, you can really learn way more by going outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, man. And it's a hobby as well. You know, and do these kind of things when you already got enough. You know, don't do it when you're doing your first crop and shit. But when you've got enough weed to fall back on, then yeah, man, experiment.
Exactly.
See
That
what
was
you
our
can do,
concern.
you know?
You nailed
Mhm.
it. That's a really good point. If you have surplus, that's when you can experiment.
Yeah,
Get a
man.
few runs under your belt first and some surplus.
Mhm. Yes, nice intro. This is going to be a good episode, everybody. I forgot to mention, we are going to be talking in the grow guides later on. We're talking about the vegetative stage of cannabis plants, and there's lots to cover out in that episode. Of grow guides. Yeah. So, for now, I think it's time to move on to the news. Are we ready for this shit? We got
Yeah.
some shit to get into, man. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
Oh, sorry, we just have like 10 seconds of dead area while music plays. You know? I always forget to explain that to people. No, but yes, the music stopped playing now. We have to go back to professional mode. So, it's the cannabis news and events, everybody. And we got some fucked up stories to cover here, as we briefly discussed there at the start of the show. First one we're going to do this one about the Singapore jails, man. The title is "Man Jailed for Plot to Put Wife on Death Row with Weed." It's a bit badly written, you know. It wouldn't be bad being on death row if you had weed, right? That's what that title kind of says to me. I want to just get this up on the screen so we can all see it. Is that what? There we go. Okay, yeah, so man jailed for plot to put wife on death row with weed. And this article is from the BBC. So, you know, get your salt out, everybody. You need that pinch of salt with articles from the BBC. But we will continue. Just moving this over here. There we go. We have a man in Singapore who attempted to frame his estranged wife by planting cannabis plants in her car has been sentenced to almost 4 years in jail. Tan Xianglong, 37, planted what he thought was more than half a kilo of cannabis between the rear passenger seat of his wife's car, assuming it was enough to warrant the death penalty for drug trafficking. Singapore has some of the world's toughest anti-drug laws, which the government says are necessary to deter drug-related crime. Less than half of the substance Tan planted turned out to be cannabis, though. The rest was filler. What does that mean? Like they wasn't cannabis plants? Oh yeah, maybe, yeah.
I mean, where would he get the half kilo of weed himself?
And that's what I thought. It's like it's going to give her a death penalty, but this guy gets found with it and he only gets 4 years. That doesn't make sense either, does it?
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
You know, what's going on?
That's insane.
Tan intended to scare the involved party and to also get her in trouble with the law, according to court documents. He understood that the involved party would be wrongly arrested and charged with a serious crime if his plan succeeded. He was sentenced on Thursday to 3 years and 10 months in prison for cannabis possession. The court also considered a second charge of illegal planting of evidence. Tan and his wife married in 2021. This is where you cue the violins or something, I don't know. And separated a year later. They could not file for divorce because Singapore allows it only for couples who have been married for at least 3 years. Tan believed he might be granted the exception to that rule if his wife had a criminal record. In Telegram chats with his girlfriend last year, he said he had hatched the perfect crime to frame his wife. Fuck yeah, no.
So he couldn't even handle it, like just hanging on for a few more years. He just wanted to accelerate the process. It wasn't even the fact that he like couldn't get out unless
obviously,
he did this.
Jordan, you've never been in a bad breakup. You know,
I mean that's crazy.
Wasn't he almost there though?
I'll risk death to get away from this woman. I can't handle another 24 months.
I'm so sick of this bitch.
I'd rather go to prison for life if I get caught.
Not exactly the perfect crime either, was it?
God damn. Sorry, Margaret, you were saying?
Well, this happened in 2021. When did he actually do this? Like, is he be at the 3-year mark any day now?
Oh yeah, it could be out to plant cannabis plants in somebody else's car. What kind of idea is that anyway? You're gonna plant it in the car? What? This guy obviously didn't look at any YouTube videos, you know. On the 16th of
crime.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? He nearly got away with it too if it weren't for them stinky plants.
Rascally kids.
Yeah. On the 16th of October, he bought a brick of cannabis from a Telegram chat group, weighing it to make sure it exceeded 500 grams, and placed it in a car in the next day. Oh, so when they're saying planted, It doesn't mean like planted, not plants. I think
No,
that's just
yeah,
like
not planted. He
oh,
didn't
Did
put
you not get that,
live
Mackie?
plants.
no, man, I was thinking he planted plants in the back of the fucking car. But yeah, of course, that word planted means many different things in, oh, God.
I was
Wow.
wondering which way you said. It's weird that he chose the car. I was like, is it?
Yeah, it's
no.
like that's a pretty good spot actually, but
Wow, yeah. Planted also means to put things there without them. Yeah,
you
no,
imagine you envision this guy like dragging bags of dirt along
for
with
sure.
him.
I was thinking, you know, as he
Put it in the
put it in the
backseat.
fucking. Like
I want to
just plant,
smoke what you're
and when
smoking,
it's like
Mackie.
when he had fillers in there, and I'm thinking what like little fucking plants that look like cannabis. Wow, yeah. Let us know in the chat or in the comments if anybody was on that same vibe, or if it's just me.
Just you, bud.
I think
I
that's
think
just you, mate. Yeah.
I think for real, that's just me. Wow, funny. I'm leaving that in.
That's just your lightweight arse, that is, mate.
That's it, man. 2 draws on a fucking joint here, and I'm like, what does he mean by planted?
That means you're a grower, by the way. That means you've been
Yeah.
you've been growing a lot of plants.
You
You're
know,
like, yeah.
yeah. The first thing I think of is actually planting it rather than planting it. Okay, funny. Anyway, what Tam seemingly didn't account for was the fact that his wife's car was equipped with a camera, which sent her a phone notification alerting her to a parking impact. When she checked the live footage, she saw her estranged husband walking around her vehicle and reported him to the police for harassment. In the course of their investigation, police searched the car, found the drugs, and arrested Tan's wife. So she got arrested, damn. But after finding no incriminating evidence against her, they then turned their investigation towards Tan himself and arrested him. Tan's lawyers tried to argue that he was suffering from depression and when he committed the crime, but the court rejects this, citing doctors finding that he was not suffering with any mental disorders. Yeah, so this article goes on just a little bit more here. We've got, depending on the substance and the amount seized, drug possession in Singapore is punishable by imprisonment, while drug trafficking can be punishable by death. And we've seen this where a guy last year got killed just for having a phone number to somebody he could get cannabis from. It was a crazy story. Although Tan was liable to be sentenced to 5 years in prison, he got a lower term because he cooperated in the proceedings and pleaded guilty early in trial, according to court documents. And when it means he, what's that? What did it say? He got a lower term because he cooperated in the proceedings. That just pretty much means he told them where he got it from. It was this guy on the Telegram. That's what he did.
Jeez, how wild is it that they're using Telegram in Singapore? By the way, they're using the same app
right?
that like some dude on the West Coast is trying to ship his colored packs with the same. Everyone's using Telegram. That's kind of frightening.
Yeah, it's a popular
Yeah,
app. I've never used
the
it.
CEO of Telegram just got arrested too.
Yeah, in France, you see that
There
shit
you
was
go.
on fucking bail for like 5 million and it has to go to the police station twice a week and all this crazy shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, madness, man, madness.
Because you can buy drugs on Telegram, apparently.
Yeah, people use it because it's reliable. It's just a reliable way to send messaging. That's all it is.
And the thing is, if they want to talk about, you know, he's a complicit in all of these crimes, it's like, well, so's Gmail then. So's fucking Outlook.
Yeah, Instagram.
You know what I mean? Come on, they're all
everything,
doing the same fucking thing. It's just that.
Yeah, how about Instagram? Good point.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
point.
Instagram, man. Instagram's
Yeah, that's
far
wild.
worse.
But
it's a
sad
ridiculous
that
and
this-
dangerous premise. Sorry, Jordan, you were saying.
I was going to say it's sad that it's this criminal in that part of the world. Like that part of the world has such a rich cannabis history. Southeast Asia, you know, Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia. It's sad that that's like the last place on earth that you'd probably want to get caught with some, to be honest. Those good for Thailand. I know they're like going through stuff or whatever, but I just hope that they inspire more of those countries to tap into, like I said, what is essentially like some of the richest cannabis history is over there.
Yeah,
and inspired us.
It shows you the takeover of like the draconian regimes because it's in so much of their history that it's normalized for centuries, and then all of a sudden it's not. So it's like, to me, that just shows you what draconian laws we're all under because it's in so much history of the world.
That's right.
Now it's not all of a sudden. So that's flipped over the last 100 years. Previously, it was
respect all of our tradition. Oh, except for this one thing.
Yeah.
Madness. Gee, we got let's move on to the next article here from Margaret. She got some interesting things to say. What do we
Yeah, I
have
felt
here,
like this
Margaret?
was a good news story myself. Fountain of youth. Can cannabis keep you young? That's the question we're going to be asking today. And
I
answer,
think so.
well, let's put some science behind that, shall we?
Let's look at the
Rather,
science.
Let's look
rather
at
than
the
socks,
science.
you mean?
Yeah. So a low dose, a low dose long-term administration of cannabis can not only reverse aging processes in the brain, but it also has an anti-aging effect. Researchers from the University Hospital Bonn, UKB, and the University of Bonn in Germany, together with a team from Hebrew University in Israel, have now been able to show this in mice. They found the key to this is in the protein switch mTOR, whose signal strength has influence on cognitive performance and metabolic processes in the entire organism. The results are now printed in the Journal of ACS Pharmacology and Translation Science. Information about the availability of scarcity of resources is of crucial importance for the regulation of metabolism. This so-called metabolome is a complex reaction network that summarizes all metabolic properties of a cell or tissue. In higher organisms, which I'm assuming they mean people, the protein mTOR is the central hub for cell growth and metabolism. As a sensitive intracellular energy sensor system, its activity has a major influence on aging by regulating cell metabolism. A reduction in mTOR activity through a low-calorie diet, intensive physical activity, or pharmacological treatment, therefore, has a general anti-aging effect. In addition to,
So they mean eating good food and working out regularly.
yeah, yeah, I mean,
Crazy.
the stuff they've been saying for a long time, but then perhaps if you add a little weed to it, the pharmacological treatment. In addition to an altered metabolism, the aging of the brain is also accompanied by reduced ability to change neuronal connections known as synaptic plasticity. Reduced mTOR activity can therefore also have a negative effect on the aging brain by reducing the formation of new synapses on a nerve cell and thus also cognitive. And
You got that cough
whoa,
switch there, Billy? Jesus.
What I do?
therefore,
Yeah, you didn't say it
and
on, I don't think. No, we heard you.
yeah, we did.
Did you hear? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you now.
That's weird because it should be on. Oh well.
Oh dear. Oh dear. It's a
Can you
good
hear
job
me
we
now?
told you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, still hear you.
That's strange because it's not working. Then.
Oh no.
Yeah, it doesn't
no.
seem to be.
Well, it's good you know that. Yeah, at least you know now.
Yeah. Cheers.
Sorry, Margaret, you were saying.
Yeah, that's okay. So they're quoted as saying, therefore, anti-aging strategies based on the reduction of mTOR activity might not only be ineffective, but even counterproductive against brain aging. In our current work, we have found a strategy to solve this dilemma, says Professor Dr. Andreas Zimmer. And they're saying cannabis reverses the aging process in the brain. So in a previous study, the Bonn researchers, together with a team from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, were able to show that long-term low-dose administration of THC, the active ingredient in cannabis, has an anti-aging effect on the brain by restoring cognitive abilities and the synapse density in old mice. Whether changes in mTOR signaling and the metabolome are linked to the positive effects on the aging brain had remained an open question. We have now been able to show that treatment with THC has a tissue-dependent and dual effect on mTOR signaling and the metabolome, says Dr. Andreas Bilke-Gorzo from the Institute of Molecular Psychiatry, who is also a researcher at the University of Bonn. Thus, THC treatment in the brain led to a transient increase in mTOR activity and levels of intermediates involved in energy production and amino acids. The latter enabled an increased synthesis of synaptic proteins and thus the formulation of new synapses. Unexpectedly, on the other hand, the Bonn researchers found a similarly strong reduction in mTOR activity of mice in adipose tissue and in the content of amino acids and carbohydrate metabolites in blood plasma after a low-calorie diet or after intensive physical activity. We concluded that the long-term THC treatment initially has a cognition-enhancing effect by increasing energy and synaptic protein production in the brain, followed by an anti-aging effect by decreasing mTOR activity and metabolic processes in the periphery. Our study suggests that a dual effect on mTOR activity and the metabolome could be the basis for an effective anti-aging and cognition-enhancing drug. There you go, everybody. Keep smoking
Wow.
weed. It keeps you young. It's good for the brain, and it's just the wonder drug we always knew it was.
Yeah, that's it. It's like I'm not surprised, really. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
Cannabis is legitimately like one of these miracle fucking plants that does all these crazy things that you wouldn't expect a plant to be able to do. It's evolved alongside us for a long time, man. I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, to what extent though does it have these anti-aging properties?
Yeah, it
Do you
does.
smoke enough? Will you go back in time? Are you thinking some sort of Benjamin Button scenario?
Yeah, that's what I was
That would be
thinking.
nice. That would be nice. I'd sign up for that clinical trial myself, but
I was thinking that. It's like, how do these rats get involved in these trials? Do you not want to try it on humans? I would be willing to take part in this. Just ask, man.
yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
I think once they started on mice and they have to, people are next, are they not? I mean,
Well, you know, if you
cannabis
can
is
skip a step,
so
you know
safe.
what I mean? If you're like, oh, well, we know this THC is not going to kill anybody. Let's just move straight to the human steps. Like, no, try it on the mice first. Like, come on.
What if
No,
they
it
got us
does.
some,
It
like,
doesn't really
good
say.
organic flour, like some indoor from Humboldt,
Right.
and these mice got the good stuff. I hope they did.
It doesn't say that, yeah, like what kind of flour or what kind of cannabis they administer, but it just says a low dose long-term administration. But I
Maybe
do
it
like
was soap bar. Maybe it's soap bar all along, you know?
let's hope not. Dirty vapes. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I've got you. You back,
Yeah.
buddy? Sorted?
No, it still don't work, so I just know that. Carry on.
Okay, yeah. It's better to know that so we don't hear some strange sounds in the background. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Yeah, any
Well,
thoughts
I
on this
also-
one, Billy? Sorry, you wasn't finished there, Margaret.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's also encouraging that people are actually conducting this kind of research too, because that's the kind of research we need. There's been so much research for so long that's been like cannabis kills or cannabis is bad for you or cannabis gives you this and that. And
And in Germany too, which goes to show that,
Yeah.
you know, Germany legalized recently in comparison, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's been a short time since Germany have legalized, and they're already doing studies like this and getting results already as well. So that's a very good sign. You know, we're going to see lots of good research coming out of Germany over the next couple of years by the look of things. Might be game changing. See what happens. Yeah, anything to add here, Billy? What do you think about this one?
It's just more of the brain stuff, really, because it shows that it's a repairing substance. They've proved that a lot in the American football side of stuff as well. That it helps with brain injury and even car crash stuff and research you've done. So I've known for a long time that it's done, but it's good that more research and confirmations coming out that how it does rebuild neuro pathways and various things like that. So I witness it each day with myself and people around me. So it's sort of like, and before with other people I've seen take it, it is a brain drug as well as a body one. So it's good to see that the research is confirming what we sort of know, but it's good that it's more and more, but also recognize people as well, if you get what I mean, because whoever done this report's obviously quite recognized for it to be spoke about in this manner.
Yeah, it's definitely a good step. Definitely.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
the results and the idea of them doing it as well. It's very cool.
Yeah. A good step forward for sure.
Indeed. So the next one is kind of a discussion. I mean, it's like an opinion piece, right? This one's from you, Jordan. We're talking about is cannabis too strong now? You want to have a flick through that article there?
Yeah. It's an article from The Atlantic, and it's titled "Marijuana is Too Strong Now." And it's an interesting argument, but it definitely is written in the particular, mainstream slant view on cannabis. But I'll just read the opening paragraphs here. A strange thing has happened on the path to marijuana legalization. Users across all ages and experience levels are noticing that a drug that they once turned to for fun and relaxation now triggers existential dread and paranoia. Quote, "The density of the nugs is crazy. They're so sticky." End quote. A friend from college texted me recently. Okay, I had not read that part until just now. It's really funny. A friend from college had texted me recently. Quote, "I soloed a joint from the dispensary recently and was tweaking, just walking around. Translation for the non-pot savvy: this strain of marijuana is not for amateurs. In 2020,
it sounds like that sentence there is for the non-pot savvy. We would have gone, this is some good shit. That's what we would say. Jesus.
In 2022, a federal government report said that samples of THC products seized by the DEA were measured, and they had on average tripled compared with 25 years earlier. Wow. So if you do the math, you're talking about the mid to late 90s. And listen to these numbers. This is actually fascinating. Had tripled from 5% average to 16% average in 2022. That seems shockingly accurate to me. That sounds dead on to me. Maybe it's it's an average. Obviously, that's hard to measure, but like that makes sense to me right there. That may understate how strong weed has gotten, this article continues. Walk into any dispensary in the country, legal or not, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a single product advertising a low THC level. Strains being up to 20 to 30% by weight, concentrated weed products as high as 90. Oh my God. For the average weed smoker who wants to take a few hits without getting blitzed, this is frustrating. For some, it can be dangerous. Over the past few years, reports have swelled of people, especially teens, experiencing short and long-term marijuana-induced psychosis with consequences including hospitalization for chronic vomiting, auditory hallucinations, and links to an article about a talking birds experience.
And of hallucinations of talking birds. That's like got to be one specific case, because if it isn't, if that's like that has been a result of numerous cases, then you need to look into that scientifically. Smoking weed can make you understand what birds is saying. You know,
I'm sure that's
essentially what it's saying, right?
Yeah, you're right.
It's
man.
like we've seen this 5 times. This can't be just a coincidence.
You're 100% right.
That could be misogynistic, calling women birds, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, what are you saying, Jordan?
Basically, this article goes on to say one of the basic premises of the legalization movement is that marijuana, if not harmless, is pretty close to it, arguably much less dangerous than alcohol. But if the weed being sold today is not the same stuff that people were getting locked up for in the 90s and 2000s, you don't have to be a war on drugs apologist to be worried about the consequences of unleashing so much super high potency weed into the world. So can I give my thoughts here before we?
You don't.
This is a long article, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, man. You don't need to read the whole thing. We get the idea of it. You can definitely discuss.
I will get your opinion first. Obviously, you're the host. What do you think about this? What do you think about the idea of weed being too strong and that possibly being a threat to people?
I think for newcomers. I'm an experienced cannabis user, but I'm a lightweight nowadays compared to what I was 3 years ago. I could fucking smoke anything, be like, yeah, that's some good shit, bro. Now I can just smoke like 3 or 4 draws of a ordinary spliff and be like, that's enough for me. And that's on just my usual homegrown shit, which obviously isn't tested. So I'm gonna say it's between 15 and 17% THC. But you see this shit that goes up to like 28% now, which is a huge amount. And if you are a newcomer, you don't smoke cannabis often, you just smoke like once a month or something, so you don't have a very high tolerance. If you just hit a few draws too many of that, instead of having 3, you have 5. That makes the difference of having a good time or a bad time. You know what I mean? That's just a couple of drags because of the potency of it. But at the same time, I don't think there should be any restrictions. If people want to grow or consume 30% THC, that's up to them. That's the market. And the people like me who want to consume something a little less powerful, that option is there also. You know what I mean? So it's not such a bad thing. It's just people need to be made aware of the consequences. The alcohol has got different limits on it. This is just the way it is.
Right. And I think you're absolutely right. This is an issue that a lot of people identify with, right? But the idea of the idea that kind of the reason I'm like being hyperbolic and critical is because to then go on and compare it to, say, alcohol, right? People having a bad experience from too strong of cannabis. I would never make light of somebody's bad reaction to cannabis either, by the way. Somebody having a terrible time or somebody doing something stupid in some rare instance, hyperemesis syndrome. I would never make light of that. But when you go to compare it to alcohol, you're doing something very disingenuous. Like, I'm sorry, these aren't fringe cases with alcohol. Drunk driving kills thousands of people. Like, tell that to a drunk driving victim's family member. You know what I'm saying? It's such a leap from this product is too strong and unleashing it into the world. It's arguably not as bad as alcohol. No, it's not as bad as alcohol. I'm sorry. It's not. It's just not. That being said, you can use that as a fair comparison. If you're going to come out here in the name of safety, you have to be consistent. So let's take a look at alcohol potencies that we can purchase currently versus the average user's tolerance. Because this is a question of tolerance, folks. That's all it is. It's the same substance. It's like you said, the difference between 3 hits and 5 hits is a good time and a bad time. Well, let's compare that to alcohol. I virtually haven't drank. I haven't gotten drunk in decades. Like, I don't drink. I've had a drink or two over the past couple of years. My tolerance is non-existent. If I go buy a handle of vodka, I don't know if that thing would kill me. For sure, it would kill me. Oh, I mean, I couldn't imagine I could drink that whole thing and not die personally. 2, I don't know, half of one. I'm not like I said, I'm not a big drinker.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do it anyway.
For less than $60, I could go kill myself really, really easily with alcohol just by chugging that vodka down with a low tolerance. Somebody else could have a good time with a handle of vodka, man. It's because it's an issue of tolerance. Same thing with coffee. If you never drink coffee and then you go have a 5-hour energy in a large frappuccino from Starbucks and you haven't had coffee in 10 years, you're going to have a fucked up time. People can manage themselves. They need to label these products clearly, and they need to be consistent. With alcohol, if it's in the name of public safety, it should be the exact same thing with alcohol, but it's not. And I just don't appreciate the fear mongering for what is essentially a drug that, as we've talked about, has been used for so long. I appreciate all the studies. I appreciate all the comparison, but you know what you do is you just go look at societies who use a lot of it. You just go to Jamaica, right? You wonder about health effects of cannabis on a large population. It's like 50 to 60% of Jamaicans use cannabis regularly. So why don't you just go there and look at those people? They use it. They give bush tea to their kids, which is like a tincture, like a kind of non-psychoactive tincture, borderline psychoactive tincture they give to their kids. They use it while pregnant. The culture just does. It's an island there. You know what I mean? It's a perfect test study.
Yeah.
So I don't like this whole, like, who knows what's going to happen, man? Like, it's fear mongering in my opinion. And anyways, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Their problem is poverty and not cannabis, isn't it? In there. With them islands, well, of all of them, it's all the poverty is what fucks the islands up, not the cannabis, because it's been with them for centuries. Like we said earlier, with like Asia and stuff. Like
alcohol, where's all the effects?
Yeah, exactly. Where's all the effects? Alcohol, it just destroys every part of your body, like, and destroys the mind. It's like you said, the spirits should be then illegal. And beer's okay then in them respects, isn't it? If they're worried about like, the high THC, then then you have to get rid of the spirits, and then that's where the line is for them. So it's like
you need proper education for the consumer, so the consumer can make a properly informed decision. You know,
that's education
exactly
and regulation is all it's needed. So everything's labelled properly, and people are educated on the labelling, and then that's it. It's go from there, because you're a human being. You should need to be able to make your own decisions in your own life. People walk too close to cliff edges where it's windy. It's like, oh, that's education again, isn't it? It's like if they do it, and then that's their own stupid fault.
Remember, stop, drop, and roll. You know what I mean? We all got that education, and I've never been on fire. You know?
Exactly.
But what do you think about this, Margaret? You haven't said anything. You think weed is substantially stronger, and what do you think the effects of it being stronger is, if so?
Oh, I'm sure it is way stronger than it used to be 20 years ago or whatever. And that's partly because of prohibition too, because they were, it was so illegal. So growers have just been trying to grow the highest THC stuff they possibly can. And then that's what sells in the dispensaries too. There's still a lot of people that come in and they're like, what's the highest THC stuff you have? And they don't really care about anything else. So sometimes I think it's also a matter of like educating consumers about the other things that make cannabis so wonderful.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what cannabis was like before, we started breeding it specifically for the THC, and how much of a balanced cannabinoid profile it actually had before it started to be fucked with like that.
Those are such good points. When you're charging someone by weight for an illegal product, they're going to want to make it as strong as possible. That's just the nature of prohibition drove that, first of all. And then the consumer started saying, what's your highest THC stuff, right? which is a natural reaction to only knowing THC is like the only relevant compound. And testing facilities and processors started taking advantage of that, right? Oh, I'm going to dry my weed. I'm going to over dry the sample that I send to the lab, because the less moisture that's in there, the higher percentage of THC by volume is going to be in there. So I can get that number up. When in reality, it doesn't mean much. I can give you some 16, 18%, organic living soil, full spectrum, full KNF, all the acronym stuff, and it'll put you on your ass, right? So I think it is dependent, and it's about reconnecting with the plant, man. Strains are wildly different from one another. One of the best things about growing your own is you can find one that works perfectly for you, and then you can hold on to that one, maybe even make seeds with it. That's why the one thing that answers a lot of these problems is bringing cultivation back to the home front and back inside the home. Yeah. It's like hemp for victory all over again, man. Like, we have the right to grow our own in a lot of places. I know not everybody on this panel does necessarily. And we salute you.
Oh no, we have the right. Just, not legally.
Right.
So you're right. You're right.
I still have the right to do it. They just prevented me to. They have no right to prevent me to. They've got no right to take my rights away from me. I still have that right. They just think that they can take it from me. That's what's fucked up about it.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a good I don't know if that was meant to be a joke, but that was actually beautiful, because you do have like the God-given right. Damn right, you can plant
these rights are inalienable.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. So that is true, man. That is well put. And but for those who do have federal encouragement or state legislation encouragement, let's call it, what are you waiting for? Oh my God, you got no excuse now. You got no excuse. You got to grow your own today. It's like hitting the gym, getting in the habit of exercising. The best time to start is yesterday, right? Or last year. The second best time to start is now, right now. You'll never go back.
That's right.
So that's why I always
grow your own weed, everybody. And if you need help doing that or learning how to do that, we have a whole Grow Guide series. Starting from episode 1, we're on episode 9 today, which we'll be going on to in a little bit. But yeah, there's a whole series you can follow now. So there's no excuse. You've got all the information you need. Just go and check out the episodes. But yes, very cool here. I like the fact that weed is getting stronger, because people have more options. And more options is a good thing, in my opinion. It's just you need to properly educate people. That's all. Anyway.
And I do want to say, Margaret nailed it. Bringing education back to like real numbers, real testing, and that THC isn't everything. And then people breeding more mild cultivars, people breeding 1-to-1 CBD stuff. Just like we said, autoflowers have a lot of work to be done there. Same thing with the CBD ratio ones. And those are great for people who have that type of experience, are 1-to-1. So I did want to throw that out. There's a lot I want to say on this subject. Maybe another episode or something.
Yeah, come back for the interview, man. We'll go into it more. That would be cool.
Awesome.
Right. So next we have some news from the USA, and I think this is you covering this one, isn't it, Billy? We have a poll in the chat, which I'm going to end right now with 65 votes. We have, who will legalize cannabis federally in the USA? And the survey says, that's an old joke. Those in the UK probably know what I'm talking about. None of the above is the winner with 40%. So not a very optimistic group there in the chat, unfortunately, but I share your pessimism, everybody. I don't think it will happen either. Next up after that, we have Donald Trump at 32% and then Harris at 27%. Yeah.
I mean, that's the safe bet. I'm a betting man, and you go with trends, right? And a lot of politicians have promised a lot of reform and they haven't come through. Yep. So I think I'm not surprised actually that that's the odds-on favorite at this point is more empty promises, but who knows?
Yeah, that's right. Who knows, man? We're gonna. It has to get done. It has to get done this time. But yeah, what are you saying, Billy? What's this story saying? What we got?
Right. Well, this one is a Donald J. Trump post on at himself at Real Donald Trump on Truth Social. So he says on cannabis, as everyone knows, I was and will be again the most respected law and order president in U.S. history. We will take our streets back by being tough and smart and violent and all other types of crime in Florida. Like so many other states that has already been given their approval, personal amounts of cannabis will be legalized for adults with Amendment 3. Whatever people like it or not, this will happen through the approval of the voters, so it should be done correctly. We need the state legislate to responsibly create laws that prohibit the use of it in public spaces, so we do not have the smell of cannabis everywhere we go, like we do in many of the Democrat-run cities. And at the same time, some people should be a criminal in Florida when this is legal in many other states. We do not need to ruin the lives and waste taxpayer dollars arresting adults with personal amounts of it on them. And no one should grieve a loved one that has become a loved one because they have died from fentanyl-laced cannabis. We will make America safe again. And that's like end quote of his thing. So really what is going on about here is first of all is the Amendment 3 in Florida, which is a new bill coming up for a vote in voting time. So on November, when everyone goes out to vote, they're going to have something called this, which is Amendment 3, which is going to want to legalize the possession and purchase of up to 3 ounces of cannabis for adults of 21 and older for recreational use. Authorize licensed companies to sell cannabis to adults for recreational use, and allow for the cultivation and processing of cannabis in licensed facilities. So, but what it is, this also will need a vote of over 60%. So, which is a super majority to pass the vote. That's what it's classed as. So, to change any sort of amendments sort of on this, it has to be over 60%. Yeah, that's why it's called a super majority. So I think about 56% was the last polling, but that was people who just a poll rather than an actual vote. So more people vote. So it is possible that they could reach the 60%, and then obviously then they'll change it. But this sort of means that Trump is technically wants to back the federal sort of change and the states changing the laws, because obviously the stories around the fentanyl. Now the fentanyl stories.
Yeah, because this is we covered this. Did we cover it briefly last week with or the week before maybe, where JD Vance was saying that there's fentanyl laced cannabis bags or something like that.
Now what that is mostly about is in some places in a few states they found raids and some kids have gone to hospital, but these are for vapes and for gummies mostly. They found no instances of actual flower contamination. Bags which have been contaminated, but where people have touched it on the crime scenes and they've found it bags which are contaminated, but not
no
actual flower.
Right.
No. So it's all the contamination and the illness from people has been from gummies, their edibles, and from vapes. But it says again, like I've said, with the vapes have got metals in and all sorts. So like because of prohibition, there's all sorts of like weird shit out there.
Yeah.
So really be careful what you're buying in this sort of.
If it was legalized and properly regulated, that shit wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. And that's what he's also almost saying there, that he wants to keep America safe. So he wants to regulate it. So is that then a step forward to say like then the states can all do it with release it federally so they can take the money, change bank accounts. So it's a positive step, but again, like we say, the poll says do we really believe him? Is he just doing it for votes? But also they do want to make America safe again with RFK joining him and a few other people. So I think it's more liable now that he would do it than possibly before, just because who is on his team now. But that again, we can't trust them. But this is what he's edging for anyway, because of Amendment 3. So. But DeSantis is against it, but he don't really like DeSantis anyway, does he? So it's not really cares about his view.
Amendment 3 is a hot topic right now.
Is that Amendment 3 to the whole Constitution, or just Amendment 3 on the Florida Constitution?
On the Florida Constitution, yeah.
Right.
Correct. And the problem that a lot of people see is that it does not include home grow.
Yeah, that's the big issue, yeah.
So one of the reasons why I stay out of politics and this stuff frustrates me, even on the cannabis front, is issues like this divide me. I'm torn on this issue, because anytime less people can go to jail for this drug, that's a huge win. You know, it's funny because I know there are people like in my community who have gone to jail for this drug and still vote no on 3 by saying you're still criminalizing home growers. This is not legalization.
Yeah.
There's still going to
Exactly.
be people going to jail. Now, how is the enforcement going to be after? We don't know right now. We don't know if that's true, if there's going to be a fine, or if there's still going to be people going to jail. Here's what we do know. Amendment 3 is backed by True Leave, who is a huge multi-state operator, a corporate cannabis entity who sees value in stifling home grow.
Yeah.
They literally get on Twitter and openly say, we're for home grow. We're going to pat yes on 3. We're going to get this through because it's a single subject state, meaning basically they're saying we can't, or we're not going to, because we don't want to get struck down because of this single subject thing. Again, I don't understand this too well, but my understanding is they're saying yes on 3 now, and then we'll pass home grow. So if 3 does pass, our community is going to have to hold their feet to the fire, if that even means anything to a huge multi-state organization and corporation. But this is why I don't involve myself in this stuff, is because it's hard. I go to places where it's legal and I can teach a class, and I do it, and I hope more states come online. And Florida is one of those gray markets where we've done some education where it's medical, but if you're a grower, you're a criminal. And now it's like yes on 3, but not home grow. It's a really tough situation. And yeah, it's really tough. Do you pass the bills in hopes to push it forward one step, or do you hold out for the better bill that ensures your right to home grow, which we all have and deserve? It's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a piss take, isn't it? Because the whole grown needs to be involved in it. If it's legalized, then you should be able to grow it at home. You shouldn't be forced to go and buy it from a different location when you can produce it yourself in your back garden easily.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Why wouldn't it be? And why would the huge corporation be dumping millions and millions of dollars into this bill and then just like promising us that, you know what I mean? Like I'm just supposed to take your word for this person that directly benefits from me not ever getting this right. Like that's pretty foolish of a stance to take. That's a pretty naive way to look at the world, in my opinion. But what really bothers me is when they say, oh, we're just going to pass this bill. Then you'll be able to get your corporate Florida mids, and then all the health problems will go away because these kids are getting this fentanyl-laced marijuana. That's the danger. They're going to smoke marijuana, and it's unregulated, and there's this terrible, terrible fentanyl in it. Guess what, MFer? Fentanyl is FDA approved. I got news for you. Fentanyl is FDA approved. It kills tens of thousands of people. The fentanyl is the problem. Yeah. The fentanyl is regulated. It's a pharmaceutical, bro. So don't tell me that FDA approval is the only thing separating these corporate cultivators who sell you moldy weed, by the way. Maybe it won't have fentanyl in it. That's one step forward, I guess.
Irradiated.
But it's going to be moldy. It's going to be irradiated. One of the things that stood out from my article was like, oh, it's dense as fuck. It's like, that was probably some PGR chemical stuff that was making you tweak, man. You got to grow this plant right. It is either a beneficial healing plant medicine or a net negative for your health, depending on how you grow it. 100%. If you spray your flowers with Avid for spider mites in week 4 and you end up smoking that shit, it's terrible for you. You can't smoke Eagle 20. People do that all the time. White market people do it. Black market people do it. Gray market people do it. People do it all the time. And that's the difference if it's healthy or not. I'll tell you right now.
Go your own, man. It's the only way to be safe.
Agreed.
But what do you think here, Margaret? Do you think they're gonna? What would you say on the poll? Do you think Trump's gonna do it, Harris is gonna do it, or do you think none of the above? What's your take on this one?
I mean, I feel like they're flanked by 2 countries who have legalized it, so maybe they might be more likely to. And like, I think the general public wants it. Overall, this stuff that he's saying in this quote, the one thing that stood out to me that I don't really like is when he's talking about prohibiting the use in public spaces, so we don't have to smell marijuana everywhere we go, because I feel like that just continues the existing stigma around it. Because there really isn't anything wrong with smelling weed in the air, in my opinion. Like in like those Democratic run cities, I go visit Toronto and I smell weed everywhere and I love it.
And it says Democratic run cities, which also means that he's pretty much accepting there that Democrats are more likely to legalize cannabis than Republicans, right?
Yeah, so maybe Harris is more likely to legalize potentially. I mean, so I don't know though. There's so many things at play as far as, politics go in the States, but yeah, I just feel like when they're like the home grow thing, but also we don't want to smell it. Like you can enjoy it and you can have it in the privacy of your own home, but God forbid you leave the house with it. Like that just to me,
I hate
mean,
the smell of cigarettes, man. And Hazy Garden in the chat just said, if we can smell cigs, we can learn to smell cannabis. And that's exactly it.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't like
I don't
cigarettes,
like
but I
the
have to
smell of
deal with it.
cigarettes.
You have
Yeah.
to tolerate that you live around other people. That's the way it is. Some people
Yeah.
enjoy it, some people don't.
And if
You know?
I go to a concert or go to some public event or whatever, I can see people drinking everywhere. And sometimes the results of that drinking, which may be somebody puking in the bushes or stumbling around or being an asshole or whatever, but you know, what's wrong with a little smell of weed in the air?
Mm-hmm.
So, because I just think that sort of perpetuates stereotypes and stigma, which is it's time to move on from that.
And you know, the thing is, when you're in
Old-timey.
when you're in a city, especially the city I'm in, you would prefer to smell cannabis over
Just gonna
stale
say that.
piss. You know,
I was just
That
gonna
too.
say that,
Innit?
Mac. Yeah,
Yeah.
I live in
Stale
Chicago.
piss, dog shit, sick,
Yeah.
car fumes,
human
boy,
shit.
human
There's
Yeah.
both.
shit,
Just
feces
feces
everywhere,
in general. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why when you do smell a little weed, you're like, oh, what's that? That's nice. Yeah,
Smells like
Mm.
Amsterdam.
yeah.
Yeah, I live
Yeah.
in one of those cities, and there's a lot worse smells than cannabis when you go.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yep.
Remember, ignorance is strength. Ignorance
Yes.
is strength.
Freedom is slavery. War is strength, right? War is peace. Ignorance is
war
strength.
is
Freedom is
peace.
slavery.
No,
Yeah,
well,
okay.
Yeah.
See, we know the lines. We'll be okay when they come for us. Is it, everybody read 1984, right? Remember, that was homework a while ago. There will be questions. Anyway, we have one more news story to cover then. Let's get this one done. We have, just briefly, we'll run through this. We have let me read the title first. I always jump ahead of myself. It's some like undiagnosed ADHD or something, I swear. 2 million Brits are self-medicating with cannabis. The market soars 10% monthly. Will National Health Service prescriptions catch up? No is the answer to that. There we go. That's the news this week. But what shocked me here was 2 million Brits are self-medicating with cannabis. And the population of the UK is, they say, around 65 million. It's probably
That's
a little
way
bit more
low.
than that. Yeah, maybe we'll go up to 75 million because the census is shit. They don't do it properly. But we'll say 75 million people. So 2 million in 75 million people. Let's say that's what, 1 in 35 people are medicating with cannabis. That's a lot of people, right? Did I do the
Okay, so
maths correctly there?
I just thought I just double backtracked because you said 2 million people are medicating with cannabis, and in my head I thought you meant there are 2 million cannabis users, and I said that's way low. The number is way higher than that. But
Absolutely,
then you just rephrased it, which is, does it say 2 million people are medicating? Does it ask them
medicating with cannabis.
That is different. So
Mhm.
they basically like self proclaim that they're using this as a medicine. That makes a little bit of sense. There's probably still more who aren't. You know what I mean? That number's probably still low, but
there's still going to be. I mean, cannabis is still illegal in the UK essentially, so there's still going to be loads of people who just that are not, especially mothers. You find it because they don't want to put their kids in any danger. If anybody asks them about cannabis, my wife still does it. I explained in one of the episodes recently that, you know, she was smoking a joint on the dog walk and she walked past people and she hid the joint and shit, put it in a little glass jar so it didn't smell. She didn't want people to know about it. And yet the stigma is still there. So when people get asked, do you use cannabis? A lot of people are going to be like, no. What is drugs? What do you mean?
Yeah.
What is cannabis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's still that fucking level of stigma there. But 2 million just medicating, that's a lot of people to even just admit it. You know, it's a good percentage of population, really. But when you look at it overall, I mean, would you agree there, Billy, that there's what percentage of the population in the UK would you say uses cannabis? Maybe it's got to be a quarter regularly,
Yeah,
at least a quarter.
I'd say close to 20 to 22% around now. I would say now it does because of all the younger people now. Right, if you know what I mean. It's very, very popular. More popular than alcohol in the younger generations as well. They're finding. Yeah. Well, what was it? It was 25% in Scotland and stuff, wasn't it? That's finding young boys. And
yeah.
So I would say 22% would be a good UK average now.
Yeah, we'll quickly
because a lot wouldn't admit to it as well. So that's
that's it. The stigma's still there.
Yeah, the stigma's still there.
Well, let's go on through some of this article here. We have the UK's medical cannabis market is expanding rapidly and growth estimated at around 10% per month, according to John Robson, the CEO of Medica, a leading medical cannabis clinic. They're the guys with the licenses who can grow and sell cannabis, but all of the rest of us, we get thrown in prison. Despite the impressive growth, access to medical cannabis remains largely confined to illicit channels and a limited private sector, as National Health Service, the NHS prescriptions remain highly restricted. There's been a few more allowed recently, but it must be like under 10 people get cannabis as a medicine on the NHS. If you want to get it, you have to get it through a private clinic, which can be very expensive. This subtitle here, we got barriers to NHS prescriptions. Since medical cannabis was legalized in the UK in 2018, around 50,000 patients have gained access to these treatments. However, NHS prescriptions are restricted to specific conditions like multiple sclerosis, epilepsy, and chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. According to NICE guidelines, the NHS requires licensed cannabis products to undergo rigorous clinical trials before they can be prescribed, limiting availability of these treatments. Only 3 licensed cannabis products are available through the NHS, making it difficult for many patients to obtain them. The UK's medical cannabis market is on a rapid upward trajectory, with projections indicating that patients' numbers could surpass 300,000 by 2028 and up to the current estimates of 50,000. From the current estimates, 300. Hold on, could surpass 300,000 in 2028, up from the current estimate of 50,000. Okay, yeah, so that's substantially higher. It's like 6 times more, isn't it? This expansion, driven by increasing acceptance and private sector involvement, could result in substantial market opportunities for investors. However, it presents significant challenges, particularly concerning the illicit trade. So yeah, this article goes on, but it's shocking how many people are using this for medicine. How many people get it legally, quote unquote, legally through the private sector, which is absolutely fucked. It's frustrating that that's the case. That there's just a few companies who have the permission because they've got to deal with their government friends. You know, it's like we're in this pseudo legalized kind of style in the UK here, where some people have it if you can pay the fucking fee, and some people are not allowed it. It's ridiculous.
Also, it's the tax money they're missing out on as well. They're only getting a little bit from what they're selling, obviously, because it's taxed through whatever's been the sales tax. But a more recent report in 2024, the market was worth 2.5 billion. That's in the UK from cannabis tax yields, could be between 200 and 500 million. If it was taxed. That's what we're missing out on, which is probably more like 500 million quid, half a billion at least in tax. And probably with the medical market as well, you'd add the same again on top. So we're probably looking at £1 billion a year we're losing out in tax on not having regulated cannabis.
At least, man. And then there's money that's saved from not enforcing the ridiculous law as well.
Yeah, but so plus there's all the money being made on like all the paraphernalia being sold on top, the money on people traveling to and from it using petrol or getting buses, the cafes being used, the cinema papers, lighters, just everything you can think of. Yeah, jobs, people getting new jobs and paying tax on that, on their job money, whatever they earn. You know, so it's like it just
time to fix the economy, legalize cannabis properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a 20 billion black hole which the Labour government keep going on about. We'll legalise cannabis and that'll probably fix that within like a year. Done.
Maybe 2.
Sorted.
When everything's in place and the infrastructure's there.
Yeah.
Ignorance on politicians, man. It's a shame that we're still so far behind here.
Ignorance is strength.
But interesting.
Well,
cool story. We obviously reported on this a few times, and this number keeps on growing. They're saying 50,000 now. The last time we reported on it, I think it was on about 30,000. The time before that was on 19,000. So this number of people who are getting cannabis, like medicinally, in the UK is growing all the time, man. So at least there's that. It's shit that they have to go to the private clinic and pay stupid money, but it's breaking stigma eventually, and it's those people who are using cannabis legally who need to. It's like you're obliged to go out there and use it in public as much as possible, because you're allowed to do it, and it reduces the stigma. But the more people are around it, and they see, oh, this isn't too much of a bother. I prefer this to the smell of piss, like we were discussing. Then people are more likely to be more accepting of it, I think. Well, of course, no pressure. And you can only vaporize it as well. Don't smoke it outdoors. You follow all the rules. If you're just going to vape your cannabis, you medicinal cannabis, then yeah, man, do it outside. Let people know. But be careful too, because it's still dangerous out there. But that's it. I think that's all the news stories, right? We don't have anything else. Just a couple of news stories from the forum here. We got Lousy Tourist, who has been announced as Member of the Month this month for doing sterling work over at the forum. Congratulations, bro. We will add the bling and all that shit. Monkey's taking some time off the show for a while. He's just got some things to deal with right now, so he won't be around for a while. He's still over at the forum, though. He's just avoiding podcasts and social media and things like that. It's just stress levels. All right, we won't go into too much detail. But yes, he's going to be taking a break from the show for a while. But he hopefully will be back in the future. We'll keep him informed. Mackie's monthly comp. That's over. To enter, all you had to do was enter the Plant of the Month competition this month, and it was like 24 entries or something. I'm not sure. Quite a few entries. It was good. So we're gonna do the spin for that very soon. And also we had some comments. If you put a comment on last week's YouTube video, then you can enter into the wheel spin for some beans. Yeah, so we're gonna do that during the smoke break. But other than that, yes, member of the month and shit. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, so that's all of it. That's all. Any news to add on your side? Have you got anything, Margaret? You want to add some news here?
No, not really.
No. What about Jordan, straight from the Aquadome? You got some news to share?
No, not too much, man. We got another Cultivators Cup coming up next April. I don't know, got a few events here or there. I had so many bong loads. I don't think I'm gonna be able to pull it off, Mackie. I don't think I'm gonna be able to land that plane. Growcastpodcast.com. The events are up there.
Check it out. What about you, Billy? Any news on your side?
No, the world's going to end soon, so grow some weed, maybe.
It will be a good currency when there is no fridges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be great currency.
We underestimate how important the fridge is. But I think that's it. I think that's all the news. Let's have a 5-minute smoke break. Let's do it. Ooh, oh, look, it's already on the screen. I got this snail race on the screen, everybody. You can see it. It's there already to remind me as soon as you go on
nice.
here. So we have 10 names from the YouTube comments from last week. I said last week on the show, if you comment on the show, you can be entered into the draw, the snail race, where you can win 3 runts from Barney's farm. Nice and easy. So this is all done. We're gonna do just a quick 1-minute race, I think, to start us off. Are we ready for this? I think so. Let's do it. Let's do it. See
4 minutes, 20 seconds, isn't it? If you've got 5 minutes smoke break.
That'll be the next one. We'll do the 1-minute one first. Let's do the. Let's get this one done. Look at that beautiful music.
What about music?
Oh, no. I'm gonna try and turn the music off. It's shit. Stop. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's stopped now. Look how fucking slow these snails are.
Well, are you surprised?
That's just sad.
Oh my gosh. Whose idea was this?
Stephen Harris looks like he's having some there.
Oh yeah, Stephen Harris wearing the lead over there.
He's sliming across the place.
Plain Co speeding up there. 30 seconds left. We are already halfway through this race. And they have travelled about 3 inches. Very fast, these snails. Plain Co is in the lead.
Yeah, Adam and Penguin are having a fucking chat in the back. They look like sharing a blunt. Like, yeah, mate, this is cool shit, man.
Oh, look at this. Can-Out Man BFR is in the lead right now. He's got 10 seconds. Can he hold the lead? Can he hold? We've got Fire Type speeding up. Oh my god. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Who's gonna have
it's the
it?
giant grasses. He's got it right at the end. He's stolen it.
What?
Oh my gosh. Did you see that? Just come
Sad.
flying up out the
From
side.
behind.
He sniffed it
Wow.
hard, didn't he?
Wow. So
That
there we
was
go.
impressive.
Congratulations, giant grasses. Thanks for commenting on the video, and get in touch on the Discord or on the comments here. We'll figure something out. Just get in touch somehow, and we'll figure out how to get these beans to you. Nice. Congratulations. But we do have another one as well. So I think I'll take this off for a second. And what we'll do is, should we do a snail race again, or should we do like an alien race? What do you think?
I think do a different
I
one
like
for
the alien
snails.
Oh, okay.
Aliens does sound cool though. because we do
I'm
like
just
our
having a look.
aliens. They
Having
did
a
probably invent us.
They invented us? Is that what
Yeah.
you just said? Okay.
Yeah, they invented us in a test tube. They squeezed us out. So you heard of test tube babies, and that's what we are, just but from aliens. So it can be
Right.
Alien
done.
test tube babies. That's a real
Yeah.
conspiracy theory.
No, that's
There you
fucking
go.
metal band name, that is.
Yeah. Alien
Test tube
test
alien
tube
babies?
babies. Yeah. Too right.
How do I find the fucking... Oh, I
Click
wonder...
it. Click it there. And then there. Click it harder. That's what they say, innit?
No, nobody says that.
Oh, what?
That is definitely just you, bro.
It must
I'm
have
just-
been the voices.
Race timers. There's so many options on this fucking thing. I don't know which one to pick. Okay, we've got a dock race. Monster race. Alien race. Fancy dress race. What are we saying? The snail, of course. Dinos.
How about a gay frog race?
We don't have those ones.
Oh, what?
No.
Alex Jones would be disappointed, wouldn't he?
Yeah, proper. A mermaid race.
No, I think I'd rather go aliens. Everyone's saying alien in chat. Look,
Is everybody
it's too
saying alien in chat?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
I'll
the
go
two
for the
people
alien.
have.
That's definitely not everyone.
One wanted the gay
Fancy
frogs, and
dress
two wanted the
race.
aliens.
Anything else?
That's
Any
what
more?
Phil's dressed. Phil's already dressed
There
up.
you go,
already.
Margaret. Do you want to choose one? Which one would you choose out of all of those you've been told so far?
Oh God. Well, I said alien already, and then you just listed off a whole whack of other ones.
Okay.
The duck sounded interesting.
So do you want the ducks or the aliens?
Do you say duck or dog?
Duck.
I like the sound of a duck, but I don't know. I kind of
Just-
like the sound of the alien now that I've just realized that my heritage is from a test tube alien test tube. Returning
Who
home.
knew? Who knew?
Yeah.
Now I'm looking. I can't find the alien one.
Oh,
I wish I could see all these things. Like you're listing them off, but then my brain starts to go elsewhere, and then you're like, which one do you pick? I'm like, can you list them off all again?
Gosh,
yeah.
what's the fucking
You
alien
just think
one?
of alien again, can't you?
Oh yeah, I
So-
found the alien one. Here we
There
go.
you go.
Then. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get this on the screen. So Jordan's like, what the fuck is even going on?
Hey man, I'm here for it.
Right, so the alien's gonna race for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I have everybody's name. Right, so everybody who entered this competition also entered into Plant of the Month this month over at percysgrowroom.com. And you can win more seeds over at percysgrowroom.com. Blah, 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 blah. Spam, spam, spam. Right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to click here. And then I'm going to get names. Edit list. Control A, Control V. Right, so this is for quite a substantial prize. 23 names in this one. 23 entries into the Plant of the Month. And this is for like three Mephisto's Wedding. 3 Monkey Beans, I think it was Nakatomi Plaza, and then another, like 9 seeds altogether. You get 2 badges, a Percy's Grow Room badge and a High and Homegrown badge with some stickers. Yeah, so it's a nice amount of shit to win in this one. So good luck to whoever it is. We've got an alien race for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This is when you should roll your joints, everybody. Get on it. Are you? I'm gonna press start and then go get a beverage while the time's ticking away. I think. Are we ready?
Yes. Yes. We'll
Steady.
take a little break too. I want to
That
see what
sounds
these
like a
aliens look like.
They don't look great.
Man,
They don't look realistic.
I don't know. I could see a mom or a dad in there somewhere.
Let's do it. 4 minutes 20 seconds. Everybody smoke. Run, alien friends. There we go. Racing Bud up in the lead. I'll be back in a
Oh, we
second.
got a lot of competitors in this one.
Yeah, a lot more than the last one. It looked like a moon they're racing on too, like a cheese moon as well. But it's like weird cheesy
Well,
yellow.
of course, there's a choose moon somewhere in the universe. We all know this.
Man in the Moon is made from cheese here.
There has to be. There has to be a cheese moon somewhere.
Not sure who's in the lead there because it's all a bit bunched up. All like easy target. It looks like he's out, so he probably won't win at the minute. Because whoever says he's at the front now is just going to be some dude at the back lurking somewhere.
These aliens all look really happy.
Yeah, they look like Monster Munch type aliens. If you know what they are,
I
don't you? You know
don't,
what the
but-
monster? No. Okay, they're crisps. They're like or corn snacks. You would think that would be. So yeah, That's what monster munch are. They look like these type of aliens. But
Crisps, potato
yeah.
chips.
potato chips, yeah, but corn.
For
But corn,
for those
corn,
of us
corn
inside
ones.
the UK.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. God, who else is there? Monty, Irish grower, weed Viking lurking at the back, easy target making.
I think we get a
effective way
drink too, but
forward.
this is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all bunching up still. There's no one still in
I
the
know,
lead.
there's no leads yet.
Yeah. It's weird. Oh look, there's someone. Oh look, it's staggering there. Bit of lag.
I'll be right back.
No problem. You still there, Jordan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You having
I'm-
fun watching these aliens?
I lost the stream, so I'm not looking
no.
at aliens. It sounds amazing though. It sounds very exciting.
I am
It
back.
almost is. Oh look, there's Mackie. There's the other alien.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who's winning so
What
far?
sort of test tube was you in there?
Small one, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
A sticky one.
Definitely sticky. I can remember the stickiness. Yeah,
They'll just
Are
keep
you still
bunching
going on
up.
about the test tube shit?
Yeah.
Really? Gosh. I was gone for a
But,
while as
look,
well.
Was talking about monster. The aliens look like monster munch. Because I was trying to describe what they look like. They're like monster munch aliens because they're all a bit too happy. They're not really scary aliens. They're not like alien.
Why would you
aliens,
assume
are they?
aliens are going to be scary?
Because like in the films, they all rip your head off with tentacles and shit like that, mate, and eat you alive with big scary teeth, spit acid at you, and like these are not exactly like them type of aliens, are they? They're like monster munch aliens.
I don't know.
or
Maybe they're just designed to look nice. So we're like,
yeah.
oh, they must
Oh.
be friendly. And then they get close and then they spit
Yeah.
the acid on you and dissolve you while they eat you as you like dissolve
Yeah.
it.
Or just as you reach out to shake their arm, and they attach yourself to it and bite it, most of it off like a shark would, and you're just running around squirting blood, going ah. Yeah, I can see that happening now. Actually,
Yeah, I can definitely
you
see
say
that happening. You should write the script, Billy.
I should
Sounds like
do, shouldn't I?
a Hollywood blockbuster. 1 minute left of this this massive race here.
There's a few three-eyed aliens, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'd be
why would somebody
disappointed there's no,
aliens need 3 eyes?
No Total Recall style aliens.
You know what I
with
mean?
three
No free
fins,
boobs.
something.
Where's the boobs,
Yeah,
man?
exactly. Those are cool aliens, man.
Where's the papier-mâché boob? Let's go.
2 weeks.
Yeah, great movie. We're on 30
40
seconds, just about 30 seconds here. Is everybody excited in the chat there? There's different ones too. How can they run with them tiny legs? Yeah, it's a very good question there. Very good
Yeah.
question.
Well, that's why they're going slow, because they've got tiny
One
legs.
of them are on wheels. You know what I'm saying, Phil? Look at this
Yeah.
guy. He's on the fucking wheels. He should be standing back the whole time.
Yeah.
You
Should he be in the
cheeky bastard.
Paralympics?
10,
His arms don't even reach the ground.
9. Oh,
Look,
here we
he's
go.
going
Oh,
for it. It's cheating. The wheel one's
the
cheating.
sand got in the wheels. That was the problem. Oh,
Yeah.
it's got to be Hashimoto by
retard.
the. Oh my god.
Wheels.
Hashimoto.
Oh, look, he's got traction on his wheels as well. No wonder he won.
Oh yeah, look
Boy.
at that. That shenanigans. This guy got wheels, man.
Shenanigans.
Not even shit wheels. They're like tank wheels, man. Wow. Wow. Hashimoto.
What a finish. What a finish.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Get in touch. You know what to do by now, bro. But there we go. Yes, nice couple of races. We should do that again sometime soon. But maybe not from 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Races?
I don't know. Do you want to do another one?
Sure.
We can do another one. But
I don't know what it'd be for sure.
that's it. What do we give away? I mean, we got so much in the seed box collection. So it's hard to choose with all those choices. Yeah.
Well, what did you give away? What did you most recently get? Just dig out one out the hat, if you know what I mean. Just pull
Yeah,
one
but I
out.
don't know what they are.
Random prize.
Yeah,
So
around
they
the
don't
Barley's
even know
farm
what they get.
seeds.
Yeah, you're just gonna get something sent to you. There you go.
But yeah, maybe we'll do that at the end of the show. We'll see what happens.
There you
We'll see
go.
who sticks around. That sounds like a
1
plan.
minute. Yeah, that
But
sounds like a plan.
we should move on to the grow guide sometime soon. Are we all ready for that? Are you here, Jordan?
Yes, sir. I'm right here. Just stoned. Down for a grow guide. Talking veg. Down for
That's
veg.
right. We're talking veg. That's what we're talking about today. And you are back as well, aren't you, Margaret?
I am back, yes.
Sweet.
I have
Everybody's
returned.
back. Let's go talk about some vegetation. Let's do it for the grow guides. Just that 10 seconds of music time there, Jordan. So, vegetation. This is when a cannabis plant is growing leaves and stems and making itself bigger and bigger so it can grow and hold lots of nice juicy flowers. That's the whole idea of the vegetative stage of growth. So we're going to look into some more detail about this whole process, about what you should feed the plant and different things you can do to, at the end, it will expand your yield by using certain techniques throughout the vegetative stage. What kind of light cycles work, what kind of conditions and environment works for this kind of thing as well. So you can just get the best out of the veg cycle before the plant begins to flower. So this is what we're going to be discussing today. And of course, this is episode 9 in the Grow Guide series. We've covered everything so far, from planning the grow, picking your nutrients, picking your medium, where to get seeds, what equipment to get, how to germinate the seeds. We covered mistakes last week, and now we're covering the next stage of the grow, which is where the plant goes from that seedling stage up until the point where you want to flower it. So this is where we are. Where do we begin? What is veg? Margaret, do you want to explain what veg is?
Yeah. Vegetation is when your plant's growing under its 18:6 light cycle.
Yeah,
It's
that's
more
about
like
that's about it, really.
flower.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
before flower, the time before flower.
because we covered the life cycle. We covered the life cycle, didn't we? About how the plant grows and how cannabis plants grows, and we explained briefly what the vegetative stage was during that as well. And this is like the springtime. If it's growing outdoors, this is springtime when the days are long, but when it starts to get past like 14 hours of darkness to 10 hours of light, or 14 hours light, 10 hours darkness, around there, then it will start to change, but it's preferred around 12 like Margaret said here, when it goes into the flower. It's during this stage of growth, your plant is you can stress it out a little bit more than when it's flowering. There's different things you can do, like the whole training and topping, which we're gonna discuss in a little bit. But we should discuss what we're gonna feed the plant at this point, I think. So we have the plant from seedling. We've done the seedling. The seedling's grown a little bit now. You're starting to see what looks like just a small cannabis plant. And at this point, you might need to feed it, especially if it's in hydroponic mediums and it's not in a soil. If it's in soil, you're probably going to be fine by just still giving it water. There's not any need to add any nutrients at this point, unless they're in really small parts. But most of the time, just water's fine if you're growing in soil at this stage. Well, what kind of nutrients do you use when you're growing throughout the veg stage there, Jordan? Do you use organics, or are you using salt-based nuts? What's the plan for you?
I've done all sorts of styles. I like to do different styles to kind of like learn and also help my audience learn. Right now I'm doing a synganic kind of liquid organic line. It's called Rooted Leaf. It's a really, really good nutrient regimen. I find that it's very comprehensive. But in veg, so many products are good right now. Like back in the day, they're choosing a brand would be the difference between having a deficiency or not, getting a lockout or not. Brands used to recommend way too high of doses on their nutrients, and you just assume to cut them in half and work your way up. A lot of modern lines, that's not really even the case anymore. You know what I mean? Especially these ones that have been formulated just for us. You follow the directions and they work really well. So that's what the nutrient protocols should have you be doing is more of a vegetative oriented nutrient regimen, focusing on things like nitrogen and less on things like phosphorus and potassium. And the reason that is because the vegetative stage is focusing on that growth, right? These are when a plant is vegetating, whether it's cannabis or not, it's growing leaves and it's growing stems, right? It's not growing buds, flowers, or fruits. So for instance, lettuce just vegetates, doesn't, if it flowers, it probably bolted or something weird. A lot of these plants. So dill, for instance, is another one like that. We just want it to vegetate. We don't want it to flower fruit or anything like that. So that's how cannabis starts, obviously. And you want that higher nitrogen for that added mass. You want high calcium throughout the entire grow to create that added mass. And like you said, build up a nice structure to hold up some fat flowers in the future. And at the end of the day, as long as you're using a modern cannabis specific nutrient line, you're going to do pretty well. Like if you're watering that solution in and you're watering to runoff, so you push out the old nutrients and you're not going to have buildup, you're going to have a really easy time. Same thing with what you said about soil. If you have a good soil blend, as long as you're watering evenly, your whole veg cycle is going to be beautiful. Should
Yeah, so easy. Just watering for 5 or 6 weeks. It's pretty simple, man. Pretty simple.
that's what I
If you're in
recommend people do.
soil. But like you say there as well, with growing in cocoa and hydroponic mediums, you can just water it with the right nutrient ratio. You'll be using grow newts here. That's what it's called most time, like Sensi Grow. If you're using the advanced nutrients line, Sensi Grow would be one. But it'll be specifically for the vegetating stage of the plant. So there's a different one you're going to use when the flowering comes in. So just choose wisely. Go and check out the episode about nutrients if you need to know more about that stuff. But Billy, you're in living soil all the time, aren't you? You grow in living soil, so you don't add any nutrients at all. It's just water for you.
Yeah, just water only. Everything's in the living soil. So I just top and train LST really, and then I just wait until it's, I suppose, at the right stage for that plant and which I want, and then whack it into flower. So it's quite easy with the living soil. It's just as long as it's got everything in it, you can see straight away how the plant's taking. If you know what I mean, what colour how dark the colour the leaves are and shit like that. So, and the
Now, how
growth
long does your
spurts it
veg
has.
period usually last for?
Well, like I say, that depends on each plant, and sometimes one will be my veg. I might veg for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Other times I'll do it for 6 or 8 weeks. So, because I want more yield from that particular, because I know how it grows and shit like that. So I've only got one of it. So if I've got 3 of one plant or more, then one will get whacked into flower after 2 weeks, and the others will be after 4 and 6 normally.
Yeah, so it
So
varies.
it's just, yeah, so it varies. But yeah, with the living soil, it just depends mostly on the size of the pot. But you can tell that with the healthiness of the plant. But because the living soil, it makes it so much simpler.
What about you, Margaret?
Well,
You grow outdoors mostly nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So
I have
essentially, you are vegging throughout the whole springtime.
typically, yeah, this year has not been so great, but yeah, I would put them in like early, I guess it would still be spring, and then they would veg all summer and they would start to flower near like, this time of year, which
Yeah.
they're doing now, but I think I just got them into the ground so late that I don't know if it's gonna happen in time before it gets too cold, but
Good luck. Good luck.
yeah, thank you.
That's the problem when you plant outdoors. You know, the season can be long and it begins to flower a little bit too late. And this is why autos are good, because they'll just flower regardless of the light cycle. They veg themselves for about 4 or 5 weeks and then flower themselves rather than you having to wait for the light cycle.
yeah, that's why I think autos outdoor when you ain't living in somewhere what's got like California, really good sun all the time, then you're better off with autos completely. Yeah. Cut that out.
But when you grew
Great for
indoors, because you did,
first-timers, too.
yeah, autos are fucking. I love autos. But Margaret, sorry, you used to grow indoors at some point. Can you remember how long you used to veg when you would grow indoors?
It was probably around like the 4 to 6 weeks, I would imagine. Like you just sort of get them to a size that you like for the
Yeah,
space that you're in. And then when you're
good
ready,
point.
flip
Yeah,
the switch. Yeah.
that's right. So what Margaret's saying there about depends on the size. That's very important, because when you do finish the veg and you flip it to flower, as they say, then the plant's gonna like double, sometimes treble in size. So you need to veg the plant out till it gets to a specific size and then flower it. So you don't want to fill the grow room completely, because with a photoperiod plant you can veg for 12 weeks, as long as you wanted to, really, and the plant will continue to grow. But it will stay in veg from seed. This is the important thing. From seed, a plant needs to grow for about 5 weeks, maybe 6, before it becomes mature. And you can tell this by happening by what happens with the internodes on the stems. They usually go right next to each other when they're young, like it's like really symmetrical. But at some point, when it reaches the sexual maturity stage, they start to grow offset. My dog's breaking into the room. This keeps happening. This happened last week. You crazy dogs. Ah, damn.
I heard that happened in real time. Yeah, listen to that.
You
You can hear them breaking and entering.
Yeah, it's like, freeze! He just wants to come in and chill. He's a good boy. He won't make any noise over there.
Mackey's getting swatted by his own dogs.
Yeah. It happened last
raid.
week as well. Yeah. They just keep sneaking upstairs and being like, what's going on in there? You got any steak? You know? But yes, what was you saying there? You see what you did, bro? You distracted me. he looked at me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, where were we? I'm all distracted now. We're talking about veg.
The size of the space, size of the space.
Yeah, the amount it grows when it goes into flower. But for me, I would say when I am vegging photo period plants, that I would go for about 5 weeks, and that's usually enough to get the tent about 3/4 full. You know, I've still got a little bit of space, about 25% of the space around the edges to work with if I need it, is during the flowering stage there. So if you're growing photo periods and you're doing it in like the 4x4 grow tent, 4 foot with 4 plants in it, which is highly recommended, then yeah, usually around 5 weeks would be fine. Sometimes 4 times, sometimes 6, depends how the start of the grow goes. But you're looking with a photo period plant in that kind of setup at vegging for about 5 weeks, and that seems to be working well. And during that time, you're going to be feeding the if you're in cocoa or hydroponics, then you're going to be feeding every day with just some grow formula, something that's high in nitrogen and lower in the potassium and phosphorus, but still plenty of calcium, like Jordan said as well. And that should keep the plants happy throughout the veg cycle. If you're in soil, of course, you're just going to keep watering it for now, no nutrients until the plant starts to look hungry, which might happen further on down the veg period, but it won't be happening straight away. There should be enough nutrients in your soil to deal with veg at least. So during veg, the plant can handle a lot of stress, and it's not like it can handle a lot of stress, it just has more time to recover from stress. You know, when you're flowering the plant, there's a certain amount of time it's going to be until the plant is finished. That's going to be 8-10 weeks, maybe 12, depending on which strain you're growing. But the vegetative period, if you have a break and you stress it out by a few days, you can just extend the vegetative period by a few days to recover from the stress. So although you're losing out on a little bit of time, you're not necessarily losing out on yield at the end, and you're not missing out on plant. You know, this is one of the good things about growing photo period plants. If you can just keep their light cycle on 18 hours of light per day, 6 hours of darkness, then the plant will stay in vegetative stage, and you can keep that going for months if you wanted to, and fill out the whole grow tent. You can't do that with autos, that's just photo period, and we explain that again in the seeds episode if you need more information on that. But it's a pretty simple process, isn't it? You're just watching the plant grow, really, but you can get involved with shit like topping and training. Do you do some topping on your plants, Jordan? I assume you do. Everybody does indoors, right?
Yeah, I do. I like to top. You know, low stress training is great. I think that especially if you're not a beginner and you're more adept at growing, low stress training is great because you're not creating any open wounds on the plant. You're not, you know, stunting anything. You know, the plant doesn't love to have some of its biomass clipped off of it like that. It'll bounce back quickly, but you'll see it as a stressful event. So low stress training, I think, is great if you're more adept. But for a beginner, it's so easy to be like, hey, you're in week 2. Clip it right here. It's going to double the amount of branches that you have reaching the canopy. Another week later, clip it again. It's going to double it again. And that's really what you're trying to achieve is in a full canopy. Whatever that means to you, whether you have a whole bunch of plants and you're only going to be vegetating for as short as 2 weeks, or if you got 4 plants in a 4x4 and you're going to grow those big enough to cover that entire space, the length of your veg will be determined by how long it takes to fill that canopy. And I see a lot of people grow their plants too big because they do stretch so much, as you said. So that is problematic. And that's why it's good to stick with one cultivar, because every cultivar stretches differently. Every cultivar veges differently. The structure is different. So if you find one that you like and you get to know it, suddenly you're really going to be able to craft an even canopy, and it'll stretch just enough, not too much, not too little. And that's why it helps to keep strains around and get to know them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's it. If you can get used to one strain, so you know what to expect during the veg as well, and how long it's going to last, and things like that. That's a good idea. It just makes things easier in the long run, you know, when you know what to expect throughout the grow.
And the more you polycrop, the more you grow different strains amongst each other, get ready to run into more difficulties. This one doesn't like to be fed the same way. Your canopy is going to be less even. We talk about training, right? Just understand the nature of growing a bunch of different strains is you're going to see more finicky ones, as opposed to just sticking with one. You will learn more about how it grows and feeding its particular needs and things like that.
I've got that problem now in my one auto that I popped didn't work out, so I've got 3 that are like a week ahead of one behind it, and the size difference is fucking massive. And now it's at the point where the 3 bigger autos are going into flower, but the other one, being a week behind, is still kind of in veg. So it hasn't stretched, it hasn't grown quickly, it's just a small plant. And it needs different food now to the other 3. So I have to mix up one batch of food for those 3, and then this one gets a special meal all on its own. God damn.
Benefits of soil, Mackie. Come on
That's
over.
why I like
Indeed,
living soil.
Come on
indeed.
over to the soil side.
Definitely. That's pros and cons for sure.
It'll
catch up.
I've been loving the SIP systems, especially for beginner growers. If you want a good, even veg, because like I was mentioning earlier, if you're using a good nutrient line or if you're using a good soil, basically you just need to get your watering on point. You should not see many, if any, deficiencies in the first 4 weeks of this plant's life. You might run into some later down the road. We can talk about that. But in veg, if you're running into problems, I almost guarantee it's your environment or your watering or, God forbid, pests, because they don't need that much early on. They just don't. So that's why I like sub-irrigated planters like earth boxes, or the smaller one is called a city picker, or you can make your own. And it eliminates over and under watering, which makes it very, very easy to grow good organic soil grown cannabis.
Yeah. That's it. So all down to the watering technique in those situations, isn't it?
Yeah,
man. But what do you think here, Margaret? Do you do any topping, any training with your grow? Because especially being outside, is it necessary? Do you do it anyway? What's the score outdoors?
No, I haven't really. Not this year in particular. I just let them go.
Yeah, it's not really needed outdoors,
No. They've got all the space in the world they could possibly need.
Nice. Hopefully they fill it,
Yeah.
We can dream. But, I mean, there's really not much that happens throughout this whole vegetative cycle. It's just the plant just grows. Just keep feeding it. Keep it happy, I don't know what to add.
I totally agree. It's a very hands-off stage, and I think that most people run into issues by doing too much a lot of the time. I'd say like half the time it's over watering, over loving. Hey, I top dressed it again. Should I amend again in this week? No, don't. Just keep it on it. Either keep it on its liquid nutrient protocol or just keep it in its nice soil. I will say, I think people, especially once you have a run or two under control, I think people can benefit a lot from foliar feeding. A good foliar feed regimen in veg will save you a lot of time, because it's going to apply nutrients to the plant surface, to the phyllosphere, fancy word. And it's going to just basically be another route to feed the plants the macronutrients that it needs. You're going to get faster growth rates. You're going to save time, which saves you money. So I think that's one thing that people could do, is get a really good spray protocol, whether you're using microbes that you make in your own house, like labs, lactobacillus, things like that, or you buy a badass spray product like I like Solar Rain by Rooted Leaf. It'll make your garden sing. You're not using that in flower, but you're using it in veg. I think that's a great recommendation. And like I said, you shouldn't see any deficiencies really. If your plant is a really finicky feeder with things like micronutrients, you might get a good micronutrient product. That's the one thing that maybe isn't there. Maybe there's not enough trace minerals in your soil or trace minerals in your line. So you grab a product like Microblast or something like that. Other than that, you're hands off. All the fun stuff comes in flower.
Well, unless you're doing like some scrogging and shit like that, some topping and training, that can be entertaining. I enjoy that stage at like in the later vegetative cycle, when the plant has got a nice root base to it and it's got a good structure above ground, and you can start manipulating the growth of the plants. I like that shit. That keeps you occupied, but you have to wait for like 4 weeks or something until you get into a decent position before you're there,
Yeah, absolutely. And I do recommend people do a trellis net or a scrog or that type of supported situation. I personally don't do it because I really like to keep my garden mobile, being able to move them around. That's the only drawback of the trellis net. But I will say, I think it improves your yields. Like if you're trying
massively. Well, it must be like fucking 20% or something if you put it in a good scrog.
It's a great way to grow. Plants love. Here's something for you. Plants love consistency overall above everything else. Like even if your nutrients aren't perfectly balanced, like the consistency of good watering and the consistency of good climate and good support will outweigh that. And plants do not like to be moved. They don't like to be moved. So if you can keep them in it perfectly supported in a trellis, you'll see better results.
Yeah, man. And it's fun too. Yeah, it keeps you occupied, man. And right, so what we have so far is, as we explained, this is we're trying to imitate what it is to be springtime outside in the cannabis plant's natural environment. So the days are going to be long and the nights are going to be short, and this is going to be throughout the springtime usually. And the light spectrum, the plants get a little bit extra blue at this time of year than they do red. Red is more towards the later summer. So back in the day, when we used to use the HID bulbs, you would find that many growers would use something called a metal halide light, which gives off a blue frequency. And there's even LED lights from, well, which is back in the day now, which is crazy to say because it doesn't seem that long ago. But lights where you can just flick on the blue side, the blurple lights. You can flick on blue, then add some red later on, the blurple lights. So it's good to have light that's a little bit blue in spectrum. Maybe, I mean, there's been reports of it reducing the stretch and keeping internodes tighter and things like that to make sure that the plant's a little bit bushier. But if you just get a high quality LED from a good place like HLG, for example, that's a perfect spectrum for the plants all the way through the growth. So try and head in that direction if you can. But if you are going HID, try and use the metal halides with the blue spectrum for the early stages of the growth and switch to the HPS later on. Because spectrum is apparently very important to the plants at that stage. It helps with certain metabolites and shit, depending on what color they're getting. So you can do that if you want to, but I don't know. Does anybody even do that anymore? I suppose just mention it just in case, but I don't know many people who grow with HID lights anymore. Does anybody use HPS? You still got HPS, Billy?
No, LEDs.
Yeah. What about you, Jordan? You don't grow under HPS, do you? Or HID, metal halide HPS?
I don't. There's a few breeders that last I checked swear by them, still use them. I think Love and Inner Eyes is one that uses them still. I miss how warm they are. Sometimes I'm in a basement. The LEDs can run a little cool, but at the end of the day, you're saving a lot of money. And all these LEDs have a really broad spectrum, which is really what you want at the end of the day. Is all of it. It's like ice cream. You really can't have too much. So all of the spectrum is what you want to deliver, and that's what these modern LEDs do. If anything, I tell people to turn down their lights sometimes. You mentioned HLG. There's a bunch of brands out there. Too many to name that I would recommend, but basically these high powered brands, not the ones you just pick up off of internet shopping site du jour, but rather these companies that are making these high powered lights. People should be running these at 80-90% a lot of the time. You don't even need to go to 100% sometimes, depending on your situation.
It's crazy how bright they are. It's awesome.
It's awesome. Don't stare into them, man.
Oh yeah.
No joke.
But it's nice that they, like you say, they don't burn so hot, which is good for me anyway. You don't burn your head on things, you're in there checking the plants and shit. Accidentally touch the bulb, it's not boiling hot. Epic, man.
Yeah. I say I miss the warmth, but in reality, I used to battle heat like a MFer back in California. I hated it. It was the bane of my existence, that heat. So that's a good point. I think for most people, it's a huge net positive.
Yeah.
But you can still grow great fire with them. Whatever you got, just run it.
So essentially, throughout this vegetative cycle, everybody, you're imitating this spring, like I mentioned, and it can go on. If you're growing a photoperiod plant, it can go on for as long as you want it to. This is how mother plants are kept. If you keep the light cycle on 18 hours of light per day and 6 hours of darkness per day, photoperiod cannabis plants will stay in the vegetative stage. This can be for a year, 2 years. If you look after the plant, you can keep it in veg indefinitely. I mean, many years, if you really look after it, it's going to be more difficult. The plant's going to grow bigger, but you can take cuts off it and you can trim it down to keep it smaller, things like that if you wanted to. And, it's not likely that you're going to grow a plant for a couple of years. But the option's there if you wanted to veg a photoperiod plant out for longer, then, you could possibly do it. But that's different when it comes to auto-flowering plants because, by the name, they will flower automatically, even if it's on 18/6. And the vegetative cycle of an auto-flowering plant usually lasts around 5 to 6 weeks maximum. By then, they will already start to flower. So you have to be able to recognize when the vegetative stage is over and it's moving into the flowering stage if you're growing auto-flowering plants. And essentially, like we mentioned, they will stretch when they go into the flowering stage. They'll double or triple in height. And that's the same for the auto-flowering plants as well. When they go from that vegetative stage into the flowering stage, they'll have a short period where they grow a bit faster than usual. They'll stretch out. and make space for some flowers and shit like that. They'll go through the stretch cycle just like a photo period, but it just does it automatically. So you just look out for those signs where the plant just grows ridiculously fast over a week or so, and then you'll start to see little flowers growing on the plant. You'll see the white hairs coming out if it's female, which you want to see. And then you'll see calyxes forming, and you'll see buds starting to grow, and little pom-poms, just little white bits of loads of little white hairs sticking out of a piece of green. It's hard to describe really until you see it. You'll be like, oh yeah, that's a pom-pom. I know what it means now. So that's just going to happen automatically with autoflowers, but the principles are still the same. You're going to feed the plant vegetative newts. If you're growing in cocoa or hydroponic mediums, you'll feed it grow newts up until the point where you see those flowers forming, and then you'll switch to the flowering newts. If you're in living soil, just water it. Easy. Simple, right?
You like to live in soil because it's
yeah,
easy.
that's it. Yeah, there's benefits to both. We discussed this in the nutrients episode. If you want to decide which nutrient's going to be best for you, everybody go check out the nutrients episode as well. But again, we're going to cover more detail on low stress training on top in one of the future episodes coming up, because we want to cover that in more detail and make sure you know exactly what's going on. But right now, if you are following this guide and growing along with it, you are only 2 weeks since popping the seed. So you're not really at the stage where you're full into the vegetative stage yet. You're just coming out of the seedling stage, and we want you to know what to expect as the weeks progress here. So I think next week we should probably cover topping and LST, so and scrogging as well. I think we'll cover that too, so you can make the most out of the plant during the vegetative cycle. It sounds like a good plan to me. But light spectrums is covered, veg and autos covered, growing techniques to use during veg. Yeah, we've covered that as well. With low stress training and shit. But we'll go into more detail about that next week. What to feed the plants? You grow nutrients. Don't give it the flower nutrients. Something that's high in nitrogen. And yeah, I think that's everything. Is there anything that we're missing here when it comes to veg? That sounds like a resounding no.
Resounding no.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just pest control, keeping pests away. This is the stage you should be spraying some sort of natural pest control. There's so many good natural ones now. All those nasty chemical pesticides that I referenced to earlier in the show, there's no reason to use those, especially at a home grower scale. Grab some like horticultural oils, any product that says like soybean oil, rosemary oil, that stuff is great. Hygro Punch, shout out to Hygro Punch, that's a great product. Sulfur, you can even use it, that's a little more intense, that'll definitely keep away fungus and insects. Like wettable sulfur, you can get it anywhere. That's a really great natural pesticide. And then don't spray that in flower, but spray that in veg, keep those pests away.
Yeah, man, nice and easy. It is really just sitting back and watch the plant do its thing. You got to feed it and water it, of course, but really, you can just sit there and watch it at this point. It would be best, especially if you're growing indoors, to top it and do some low stress training, but we'll cover that in more detail next week, so you know what to do there. But that's essentially it for veg. It's a very easy stage. It takes patience, to be able to just sit there and let the plant grow for 5 or 6 weeks to get to the right stage before you want to flower it, But you can get there. You just have to be patient now. Let the plant do its thing, man. Don't disturb it very much. Go check on it often to make sure that you're having no problems with bugs or nutrient deficiencies and things like that. But if you don't have to do anything, don't do anything. Just let the plant do its thing. It is a really simple process of just watching and doing things now and again to keep the plant happy. But I think that's everything for the veg cycle for now. We already did anything to add? There was nothing to add, was there? I think we're good. I think we should go into the listener mail questions. Are we ready for those already?
I haven't read them yet, but
yeah, there wasn't any. Then I was like, is there any questions, anybody? And then we had a few crazy ones sent in. Jesus. Right, so let's go to listener mail. We have one here from Firetop Q, and anybody who has questions in chat, please do feel free to ask questions. Just start with a Q, like Plumlung did there. We'll get to yours in a little bit, mate. Let's do Firetop's one first. Can you grow multiple strains on one plant by taking branches from multiple plants and attaching them to one individual, or will the individual plant change the outcome of flower on each branch? Well, yeah, mate, it's called grafting. and people have done this before. You can essentially, I've seen people say, I haven't seen it done, but you could essentially get a cannabis plant, the cannabis that we're trying to grow here, and graft it onto a hops plant, because their genetics are so similar. So you could grow cannabis off a hops plant, allegedly. I haven't seen it done, but I've read it somewhere. And when I say
Could you
read it, I mean saw it on YouTube.
Could you grow multiple cultivars from one other cannabis
Yeah,
plant?
you can do that. Yeah, I've seen people do that where they just take cuttings from different plants and just graft it on to a
Huh,
different
that's interesting.
cannabis plant.
So why don't
It's-
people do that then? What are you giving up if you?
People do it. It's just a pain in the ass to do it, isn't it? If you
Oh.
want to grow two strains, grow two strains. Don't chop up different plants. I mean, if you could go out to the store, like many people can nowadays, and buy 10 different strains of cuttings, of 10 different cultivars, then take that home and then graft it to an old plant you've got for an experiment. That would be super cool. Definitely doable. It's just if you wanted to do it or not. But yeah, definitely doable there, Firetop. It just takes time. It's just like taking a clone and grafting. That's all it is, really. It's just, plant count icing, he said. It's a good one. A good reason to do it anyway. Yeah, but 10 strains in one plant, you could do it.
I think it might make sense in a mother scenario over anything else. And I think you're right. At the end of the day, it just takes a lot of time. And then people just say, fuck it, I'm going to break my plant count. But especially if you take all that time to graft one and then flower it, it's like all that work is gone. But it might make the most sense in like a mother plant scenario where you can have a base plant and then graft several strains onto that, and then take whichever one you want and flower those. So you're only using one plant count to hold several. I've never personally seen that done, but I certainly encourage people to experiment and try. That's what it's all about, man, is doing stuff like that. So
if anybody's doing that, you need to get a YouTube video up of that shit. We need to see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just I wouldn't say it was a difficult process. Just say it was a timely process. And you should try and get it down. Try grafting first with just a normal plant. Don't add a different strains of it. And once you've got grafting down with a single strain, say like White Widow, just keep working with White Widow there. And when you can graft pretty successfully with one strain, then try adding a second strain to it. You shouldn't see many problems, but it can definitely be done. Claude in the chat said grafting won't change his chemovar. It's just like changing a head on a screwdriver. It's still a screwdriver, different screw. Right.
My understanding is that the DNA is going to determine what's produced, and so if a branch is grafted to a main stalk, that branch is going to express the original clone it was taken from, rather than the main stalk. That's my understanding.
That's what I thought as well.
It's just what I've been told. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's right. I'm sure somebody's done the studies out there somewhere, but I think it would be a good project to do, to have these 10 different plants on, even 5. You don't need to go straight out for 10. It'd be definitely interesting. Good question. Are you thinking about doing it, Firetop? Are you going to do it, bro? But I think I like the idea of the just doing it as a mother with loads of different cuttings. That's a good idea. That's just, it's a good reason to have it. But essentially, just if you want 10 different strains, pop 10 different beans, man. Don't be messing around like this. Do a little sea of green or something.
That's what everybody ends up doing anyways, to be honest.
All right, so I think that answers that one. Yeah, so let's go on to the next one. From How Grows It? Oh gosh, this is one was like, why did I ask for another question? Here we go for the philosophical one. Ready for the brain breaker? Here we go. Thanks, How Grows It, for the question. If Pinocchio is chatting to someone and says, my nose will grow when I stop talking, what happens? Because essentially he's telling a lie, but if he did stop talking and it grew, then he wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's like it's circular logic. And I'll carry on with the question before we can try and figure out what's going on. If his nose does grow, then he's telling the truth, and his nose only grows when he lies. If the nose doesn't grow, then he is lying, so his nose should grow, but by growing means he's telling the truth. What happens to him? Oh my God. Jordan, what do you think of this?
The mind bender. The mind bender. This question operates under the assumption that the magical force that drives Pinocchio's nose to grow is like at the center of all of physics, right? It's basically like what does reality do to compensate for Pinocchio's nose spell? So I don't know. It's a good question. I guess lying's about intent, right? Because you could say something that's not true, but if you believe it's true and you omit that, what you believe to be true, that's still a lie, right? Again, this is operating on some sort of universal truth and causality here. It's getting into some deep shit. I don't know, man. I can't answer this question. My brain is busted.
This one's tough. This is a
brain buster,
brain breaker. Yeah.
What do you think, Margaret? Have you got an opinion on this one?
My opinion is I think Pinocchio has no friends, honestly, and if that's how you know you're living.
He was made of wood. It's not like he's ginger or something, you know. Only joking out there, ginger folk. I'm only joking. Fire top speaking to you, bro. I don't even know if he's ginger. I'm just assuming Firetop. He's just named himself Firetop because he's ginger. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, good point.
Anyway, yeah. What do you think, Billy? Do you think would his nose grow or not?
Well, that depends on Pinocchio's scenario, doesn't it? If he thinks it's a lie and his nose grows, or whether he doesn't think it's a lie, you see. So, or if it goes on whether it is or isn't in the world of fact. So that changes each time, doesn't it? So is it in his own head or is it the truth of the world? But then what is the truth of the world? Is that what's only in his own head? So it's more of a Schrodinger's box thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Schrodinger's Pinocchio nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that one is.
For sure.
I read it over like 10 times. I'm still like, I don't know.
Man. Yeah, fuck knows how grows it. We can't answer that one. We had one last week, which we couldn't answer as well. You guys keep catching us with some good ones recently. Nice. Good work, everybody. Yeah, we'll do some research. We'll go and ask Pinocchio himself, and we'll test it with him. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, so, yeah, but what happens to him?
Do some research on growing wood. Cool.
Right, so what do we have next? Let's move on to the next one. Thank you, How Grows It. You know we love these questions, man. These deep philosophical, not cannabis related. We do like to go on them tangents sometimes. Very cool. Very good question, bro. Well done. From Dorset Cushman, we have, what's your favorite haze strain? I think mine's S5 haze, combination of lots of different hazes put together. Had in Amsterdam sometime. It was delicious. So yeah, maybe that. What about you, Margaret? What do you think?
I like a Northern Lights haze. Maybe.
Okay.
Haven't had that in a long time, but
delicious. What were you saying, Billy? What's your favorite haze strain?
Old school lemon haze. I think if I'm gonna have to go for one, it's got to be the old school lemon haze, just because it was so funky, skunky, and lemony.
Different, you know. It's just a different flavor from other cannabis back in the day. There.
Yeah, and it hit you like a brick as well. So.
Damn.
Also the Super Silver.
Super Silver's good too.
That's
man. Oh man.
So like it's like they're in a ring fighting each other, and it'd be a potent knockout for like the Rocky scenario, man. At the end of the match, man, only one's climbing up just about at the end of that. Don't know which one though.
Which Rocky are we talking about? Down.
Well, the first one where they're Balboa, isn't it? Or,
it was all Rocky Balboa, wasn't it? Until they started to just take a piss out of it. Like Rocky 7, you know? Damn, Rockies were good movies back in the day, weren't they? They were good movies, man.
He's got his there's a weed store in Amsterdam called Balboa, isn't it? As well?
Is there? Okay. Yeah. Man, I just saw some random guy the other day. I was doing some shopping with the wife and we were driving out to the car park, and there's a guy loading up his car. He had a t-shirt on, and on the t-shirt it said "Pre-DME Amsterdam." I was like, "Yo, bro, that's my favorite coffee shop in Amsterdam." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "That's my favorite coffee shop in Amsterdam, bro." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter," and then just drove off anyway. I'm gonna continue fucking shouting at him, but it was crazy to see this guy wearing this, you know, because Pre-DME is a great coffee shop in Amsterdam. Everybody, you have to go there if you go to Amsterdam. Make sure you visit Pre-DME because it's a great place. But yeah,
you probably bought it in a charity shop, innit?
You know what I mean? Imagine that. You don't know what I'm fucking talking about. It's like, well, I just like the colours.
It's
Yeah.
sometimes in that you see people, old people around here walk around in like cannabis hats, like bucket hats, but it just looks like leaves to them. If they don't really know what a cannabis leaf is, it's like a leaf hat. But
Or
I'm looking at
fucking
them thinking,
Nirvana shirts and shit. you know?
yeah, it's like you
Mhm.
definitely ain't smoking weed, and you got. It's like, I feel like going up to them. Do you know you've got a cannabis leaf hat on, like, and they'd be like,
Oh my god, I'm illegal.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, I'm a junkie. Yeah, you old scummy cunt. Like,
Did you mention there, Jordan, which your favorite haze strain was?
Actually, it was already mentioned. Super Silver is probably my favorite. Although that Lemon Haze, I totally agree. Lemon Haze back in the day was excellent, but I think I got some Super Silver Haze in Humboldt that stood out in my mind for all these years. I still think about that strain, so
It's
I'd
a
have to
great
go
strain,
for the
man.
Super Silver. Yeah,
Super Silver Haze, delicious.
yeah, super hazy and like noxious and big, huge silver frosty buds, just massive colas. I like that. I like Super Silver Haze, Humboldt County, circa 2013.
Damn,
Perfect.
accurate. Right, so the next question here, this is an important one, really. This is to do with something called bud rot, which some growers, if you listen to the grow guides in order here, you don't know what bud rot is yet. So just brace yourselves, because this is going to happen at some point to you. It's tragic. But here's the question anyway. If you find bud rot in a cola a week from harvest, what are the best options? Cutting the spot out and letting it continue to finish, cutting the spot out and harvest early to save it, or just destroy and start over. Nearly full art condition, sativa, hybrid, outdoor, southern Midwest USA, exposure up to 80s for temperatures, 70 degrees humidity. So yes, there's a lot to cover in this one. What do you do, Billy? You've had bud rot before, I assume, right?
yeah, I have. I've had a few times. I've normally just sometimes just cut the whole plant if it's had too much of it, or if it's just been one bud, I've just cut the whole top of that, the whole lot off. You know what I mean? That whole branch is pretty much gone. If it's near been anything, then I check the others. But yeah, that's when you give the plant a really good check over, really, and just cut anything that's right. Just chuck it and forget about it. It's not worth it.
That's right, man.
Rather lose a whole plant than worry.
What about you, Margaret? Because you're outside, you grow outdoors. What would you do in a case of finding bud rot in an outdoor grow?
I'm trying to think if I've ever had it outdoors before or not. I don't know if I have. I
Hmm.
have definitely had it indoors, and I would just cut out the offending parts and get rid of it, and then check to make sure it hadn't like spread, I guess, and have a little cry, and then get over it and move on.
Yeah,
It
it
sucks
is
though.
damaging to the mental health sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I've had bud rot a few times, and you learn to just be able to recognize it. Like without even seeing the rot, you'll see the extremely yellow leaf when everything else seems fine, and you'll see the colorlessness of a specific section of a bud, and you just know from there. I don't even need to crack the bud open. I know it's in there. Tragic. But I always give it one chance. It's like if I find if I just find one offensive bud, then I'll chop it out, I'll get it out, and I'll just cover the whole thing with a fucking bag to reduce any chances of mold spores flying out of it while I'm disturbing it. Because then mold spores will fly out, land elsewhere, and if they get to stale air and there's conditions are right, they'll germinate and grow more. And it'll be a few days before the whole fucking thing's covered in mold. It's tragic. But in some cases, it's just one bud, and then you can just chop it down and get rid of it. And usually this happens later in the harvest anyway. You close the harvest time when bud rot usually happens. So I'll get rid of that dodgy one, and I'll just keep a close eye on it for a couple of days. And if I see any more at that point, then obviously I'll chop them out. Any bud rot you just get rid of. You don't even fuck around with it. Just get rid of it. You can't do anything with it. Just chop it out, get rid of it. But if I do see a second time, then I'll chop the whole fucking plant. I'll harvest what there is, because it's probably just going to infect the whole plant at that point. But I do give it one chance before harvesting fully. You have to do what you have to do. You know, it's a difficult decision when it comes to bud rot. You don't want to harvest too early and just ruin the whole grow, but you don't want to let it sit there and get moldy and ruin the whole grow. You'd rather have the immature THC than no THC at all, right? I don't know. You just don't want to throw away weeks it depends how close it is to harvest on it as well. But again, you should only see bud rot as it's closer to harvest anyway, so it should be near harvest time. Yeah. So and in these cases where it's temperatures of in the upper 80s with 70% humidity when you're growing outdoors, it's I mean, that's a high humidity. Anything over 55 really in late flower is risky. You're looking at, you might get bud rot. The best thing you can do is just try and get more air exposure to the plant. If you can just keep fresh air going to it, then the mold spores are less likely to germinate. You got to keep the air moving, you know.
Sounds like
So-
they're in Missouri,
Who? Which one?
Southern
Yes.
Midwest state. That sounds like Missouri weather. It's just really common with outdoor growers. Super
Mhm.
common.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
you make a good point. Removing it carefully. If it's an indoor scenario, turn off your fans before you clip out that
Mhm.
bud,
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
really carefully remove it without disturbing it, because that's how you can spread it very easily.
Mhm.
One product that I like, since you are in the USA, one product that I like that you can get here is called the Amazing Dr. Zymes. It's the only thing I ever spray on my flowers. It leaves zero residue. It kills mold and mildew. Highly recommend that. Highly recommend increasing the airflow. Defoliate more while you're outside than
Mhm.
you would. And they mentioned also a sativa hybrid. If you're popping a seed that has true sativa lineage, that's going to go longer. And unfortunately, while you'll get some great exotic varieties and stuff from those types of genetics, the longer your plant is flowering, the longer it's exposed to the elements and the more vectors possible infection points of this type of mold you can get. So you might want to consider switching to a faster flowering strain.
Or autoflowers, man. Gets
Or
it
autoflowers,
done
there you go.
before the season is even. I got a friend who grows in Spain, and he asks me advice about growing. And last year he grew some photo period plants, and it just got too humid towards the end of the summertime, going into autumn, and he got bud rot all over the fucking plants, and caterpillars took over and all this shit. And I was like, yeah, you can't grow the photo periods, man. It just, the season goes on for too long, the plants get too big, it gets too humid, you know, there's rain and shit. But if you did autoflowers instead, you could fit 2 crops in instead of just one, and you can get them done before the real cold weather and humidity sets in. And he's tried that, and this year he's been much more successful. And he's had a couple of successful harvests so far, and has another couple coming up very soon as well. So just do autos if that's a big problem for you. Next year, this is for Little Red, you know, the guy who sent in the question. Next year, just do autos, man. You're far more likely to reach a reliable harvest with no bud rot. To get on that, you'll be fine.
Man makes a point. It's a good point.
Next year, obviously it's not going to fix anything now. Just if you do find bud rot, cut it out and get rid of it. Don't even fucking, you can't use the bud and shit. It's tragic, man, and it's hard. It's horrible when it fucking happens, and it happens to the best of us, man. And the worst thing is it affects the biggest buds on the plant as well, because that's where it's having trouble getting fresh air getting into the middle of the buds, because they're so fucking big. So it's fucked. It's shit. It's tragic, but it's the way it is.
Some people will do a bud wash on their harvest too. And if you do a bud wash post harvest, I highly recommend you use Dr. Zymes instead of like lemon and baking soda. If you can get your hands on Dr. Zymes, that's one of the things it's best known for. If you know that there's probably mold and mildew, even if it's not like sporulating and stuff like that, and especially for outdoor growers, I personally don't do it, but I've seen the results and how little it damages the trichomes, especially when you use Dr. Zymes. And I would say, as somebody who doesn't bud wash, I would say consider a bud wash, just something to look into.
Yeah, man, and don't be shy as well. Wash your buds if you want to, everybody. If you think that they're dirty from being outside or in a dusty environment,
it surprised me.
Yeah,
it surprised me, honestly. I've seen it firsthand, and I've experienced the product, and I was shocked at the results. So I highly recommend people at least try it.
Yeah, people get scared of it, like, oh, I don't want to get the plants wet, and it's like, you know, it rains on these things. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
Yeah.
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry. Yeah, and you know, THC isn't water soluble, so it's not gonna drag THC off it. You know.
Yeah, again, as someone who doesn't do it, I was pretty like well converted by a demonstration by a grower in my Discord. Good option for Little Red.
And I think that's something that we'll cover in the future episodes as well. In one of the episodes of Grow Guides is bud washing, especially if you've had like insect infestations, or if you've been growing in dusty areas outside near the road, all these different, because roads, they contaminate. Like, fuck, if you buy a busy road and you're going outdoors, just all the cars driving by and all the heavy metals coming off their tires and shit, that's gonna all land on your buds, man. And you want to wash that shit off if you can, I think, anyway. Maybe it's being too paranoid, but why not do it? Why not just give it a quick wash? You wash apples before you eat them, don't you? Yeah, wash the buds before you smoke them.
Worth a try.
But I don't wash buds. I have in the past, but I don't now, because my environment's pretty clean. The air filters going in there is clean and shit.
Same.
But if you do grow in a dusty environment, bud washing is a good option. But that's everything.
Outdoors
really.
is tough. Yeah, that's where it's tough.
Oh yeah, outdoors is shockingly tough, man. I mean, you would think that it's definitely cheaper, but more difficult. Having zero control over the environment like that, now that makes things very difficult, man. You can't control your humidity and these temperatures. It's just the bugs get into it. There's so much that can go wrong when you grow outdoors. And this is where you got to find the pros and cons of what's going to work best for you. You want to be an indoor grower, outdoor grower. You want to grow photos or autos, hydro or soil. There's so many different things you need to consider. Figure out what's right for you and then roll with it, man. As long as you're fucking growing, it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I think that's everything. Let's go to the outro. You ready for outro?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Professionally fading outro music. There we go, everybody. That was this week's Cannabis News and Events and Grow Guides. I think we covered everything there. But of course, if you have any questions, just like every other episode, you can find us over on Percy'sGrowroom.com. You can also find us in our Discord server, which is linked in the description of the download. So if you want to go check that out, just click that, head over to Discord. It's all free. Percy's is free. Discord is free. You can email us for free. There's loads of different ways to get in touch. So if you have any problems, any questions, then don't be shy. Get in touch. We're going to do some competitions over at Percy's Grow Room this month as well. If you are interested in winning some prizes, then get over to Percy's, man. There's going to be some nice comps over there this month. I've got a feeling. But that's everything for the Grow Guides. Thanks to Jordan for coming to chill with us for a couple of hours. We kept you for a good long time now, but we appreciate you coming over and sharing knowledge with us, man. It's very cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, got excited there. Had some bongs, had some laughs. I appreciate you guys.
Nice. Yeah, man.
I have dates.
Cool.
Can I share dates before?
Of course,
I hop
yeah.
off here?
Yeah, of course, man. What you got?
I've got a bunch of this. My fall is crazy. So follow me at Growcast, of course. Growcastpodcast.com is the website. But I'm in Toronto, Canada 2 weeks from today, September 15th. After that, I'm headed to St. Louis, Missouri. Grow Active Solutions is having a 10-year anniversary. That's September 21st in St. Louis, Missouri. It's going to be a big one. Then October 5th, I'm back in Missouri for the Growers Symposium. The week after that is Mush Fest OKC. If you want to come out to an awesome event about mushrooms, Growcast is going to be there too. But it's going to be awesome. It's at the Oklahoma City Fairgrounds. That's October 12th and 13th. We'll be there. And then the next week, we have a natural farming immersive down there in Oklahoma as well. Growcastpodcast.com for that.
Damn.
It's crazy. It's a crazy schedule until about November.
You get around more than my mother-in-law, Jordan.
Well, thank you. I'm in good company. Yeah, I'm really excited for
Just
this
jokes,
fall.
by the way. Jokes, mother-in-law. Jokes.
Yeah, you're gonna get yourself in trouble, Mackie.
I don't know. Jesus.
It's going to be a really fun fall. So come and see me. I would love to meet some of the awesome High on Homegrown audience because I love your fans.
Yes, man. Get out there, everybody. If you're around that way or, close enough to travel to, get out there. It's no doubt going to be an awesome time. And say hello to Jordan on our behalf because we can't be there. But yeah, man.
Hey, soon UK. I've said that for a few years, but I'm just crazy enough to do it.
We're going backwards here, bro. That's a completely different discussion altogether. Gosh. How are you,
Well, thank
Margaret?
you,
You
guys.
got any news to share on Bite Me's behalf there? You got anything to add?
No, not at the moment. I'm still just releasing episodes every Thursday on all your favorite podcasting platforms.
Yes. That's right. Every podcast, same ones we are on, everybody. So when
Yeah.
you've downloaded this show, if you haven't heard about Bite Me, the show about edibles, there's high and homegrown episodes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So, you know, there's right there, that Thursday, there's no episode of High and Homegrown. But you can
There
still
you
hear
go.
Margaret by going over to Bite Me, the show about edibles, and downloading some episodes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Any news from you, Billy? I don't think there's anything to add here on your behalf, is there?
Not really. People should just smoke more hash. That's what I say.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Make hash, not war, and all that. And I think that's it's a beautiful philosophical note to end it on. Look at that. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, everybody, as it always is. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Please share if you can, but of course, no pressure. We know that's not easy for many people to do. Just oh no, we didn't get Plum Long's question, did we? Of course, we'll quickly get back to that. Let me scroll up, see if I can find it here. Yeah, when growing with organics, I'm just going to turn this music off again. Hold on. Yeah, sorry, Plum Long, we forgot all about you there. When growing with organics, how often should you top dress, and is there a difference between top dressing and re-amending? Yes. I would, Billy, you wouldn't be able to answer this question best. You're growing living soil. How often do you top dress, and what's the difference between top dressing and re-amending?
Basically, the difference is top dressing is what you do during mostly the flowering stage, normally like week 2 or 5, depending if you're doing 1 or 2 drops. So it's just to give it a top up. So during flowering, it's getting more food for it to flower with, basically. And the re-amending is what you do at the end. So once you cut down your plant and you want to re-amend soil to put more nutrients back into it, you put that in and mix it with your soil. Then you leave it for a couple of days for it to cook, as they say, and then it's reusable again. So that's the difference. With a top dress is just like adding food to your plants.
Yeah, but
And re-amend
specific
is
for what
to-
the plant needs right now, and re-amending is re-adding everything to it like it was back to base soil again.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Pretty much that. Would you agree with that, Jordan? Anything to add there?
Yeah, that's dead on. The re-amending is usually referring to in between runs when people are replenishing their soil. But when you're amending, you're applying this top dressed layer and watering down into the soil. So hopefully the microbes are coming up and breaking those down. Usually people do it a couple of times. Maybe they'll top dress right around flip. When you go to flip into flower, maybe they'll hit it with a top dress, give or take a week. And then maybe they'll do it again in the bulking phase, like week 5 or 6 of flower. Sometimes people will throw down a top dress. It really depends on what you're using. I've found that products that break down really fast are nice. Things like composted turkey litter, composted poultry litter. There's a product called Sustain that I really like, but there's a bunch of different ones. And other ones will break down more slowly. Depends on what they are and how soluble they are. But generally, I think people top dress a couple of times in flower. Just don't over apply. Soil is very hands off. Just like we talked about in the veg stage today, mostly you're just letting the microbes do their work. That being said, in flower, they do want a little extra. So once or twice, hit them with a nice, like, I recommend like a broad spectrum nutrient pack, something like the Build a Soil Charge packs, or more of your living soil, even some fresh soil, some fresh compost is great. Top dress with what you got.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. That was, is there anything for you to add here, Margaret? You want to say anything about top dressing and re-amending?
No, I think those guys covered it all pretty clearly.
That's right. And Plum Long hasn't put in the chat that he's still listening or anything, but I hope he's still here. Probably put, oh, sad face, and then left. And then we answered his question for him. But that's the way it goes sometimes. I hope everybody's enjoyed the episode. And thanks again for all the questions. Thanks for being here. You know, thanks to those guys who are downloading the show. We appreciate that too. Hit the like button and subscribe. Share if you can. And yeah, that's everything, man. I hope everybody has a great week. And of course, if you see news stories as well, send them to us over on Discord or over on Percy's, wherever, so we can shout them out on next week's show as well. Stay high, stay safe, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody. Bye. Everybody wave.
Peace.
Everybody wave.
Waving.
you